I'll go live too. Awesome, I'm live.
Nice. Yep, gotcha. So let's see if I do. If I do this, it should also be. Yep, it works on stream now too. Nice. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Let's see if you wanna try to make Twitch collab work. Let's see how this works.
What, sorry?
The co-casting thingy that Twitch
Yes.
can do.
How do you do that? I don't know how you do that.
I have. Let me see. So I've added. It gave me like a knock option, which opened a secondary window,
Okay.
which for some reason asks me for microphone permission, although we're on Discord, so that's a block. So let's see. Invite guests. Send invite. I send you an invite, but I think you're gonna get it on Twitch, not on the.
Gotcha.
Or actually, wait. I can send you a link. Wait.
Actually, I've got it. I've got it.
Okay, cool. Okay, I see you here now.
Yep.
And if we do. Okay, it appeared on Twitch that we're doing this together, which is nice. On Twitch that we're. And then if I do this, which is nice. On Twitch that we're. And then if I do this, which is nice.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Nice. Make sure to mute your microphone in the window that Twitch opened.
Yes, now I've done that. Yep. Cool. Well, have you, yeah, do we need to post to the, should we post to the live stream announcements on the Discord?
Yep, just did.
Oh, perfect.
You should get a. You
Yes.
should have already gotten the mention.
Lovely, lovely. That's great.
Nice.
Well, while we wait for people to get in here, yeah, just thanks for agreeing to co-cast. Very much appreciated. I've been following the bracket for a while, so really keen to do the quarterfinals and you know share the love as well. I know that you're friends with Black and Black. How do you two know each other?
We've met some 2 years ago at work. Found a mutual understanding through AOE, and well, here we are.
Awesome.
This is actually my first ever stream, so gotten some input from him as well, some tips and tricks, and yeah, well, I'm excited for this. This is gonna be fun.
It's gonna be high.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm pretty new to this as well. I've only done basically this tournament, so I just started to do this tournament, and yeah, just chose this one bracket. Like a lot of the streamers jump between the brackets, and you know there's a bit of discontinuity there. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do brick bracket and kind of follow all these players through. So I've been following them all the way through the group stage to now. So I get to know the players and Back in Black is always in my chat, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he's really active. Yeah, true.
Um, but just to talk about highlights for his tournament. So he was in a group stage with the guy who came the first in his group called Arnulf or something like that. Very hard to pronounce
Okay.
For an Australian anyway. Um, but he came top of the group and Back in Black came second. But he actually beat the guy who came first, and he took
Okay.
him completely off guard with some of his strategies. This guy Arnold loves to boom. He does 3 TC boom every single time, like without fail, and just walls up and plays defensive. And he
Okay.
had a game that he just went for like a mega castle age ram push, and he wasn't prepared for it and completely wiped them out. So he's Back in Black can be quite an aggressive player, and I think that leads to exciting games. So he's always exciting to watch.
Yeah, one funny thing. It's funny to me that you mentioned that he's an aggressive player. I remember some time ago actually, when so I actually played a couple of games with him last week, and we were having we were doing 2v2 ranked. We're having this conversation on what maps we want to go for, if we want to favorite anything. And I actually ended up asking him whether he wants to play arena, and he looks at me. He's like, I hate that map.
Yep.
And I remember not too long ago. Well, actually, it's quite some time ago. It's over a year ago when arena was his absolute favorite. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. So,
And
uh,
and no
talk about
longer.
it. Talk about the journey. You know.
Well, it's funny. He went for that ram push on fortified clearing, which is like arena, right? And so he obviously knows how to play the arena maps aggressively, even
Oh yeah.
when it's like a defensive map. So it's funny that he didn't go for the defense. He was like, no, even though it's a closed map, I'm just gonna go for the aggression anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm actually quite excited about this. Do you want to take a look at the drafts?
yeah, let's do it. Let's do
See
it.
what we get today.
Yep. Uh,
Uh,
pull that up. Yes, I'm in the draft.
so maps are interesting. Um, I'm actually with some of these maps I am familiar from watching TTL and TTLC in the past.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Zong is something that I've seen played, but not quite that much. It can also be quite a defensive map, right?
It's very defensive. What I've seen with that map, so it's interesting. Kerfoogle's gone for that, so maybe he's trying to pick some more defensive maps, knowing Back in Black.
Mm.
But you can hide behind your walls quite a lot because there's a lot of resources, a lot of gold at the back of your base. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to go for a map control play early on. You can kind of wait until late castle age and then push out from there. If you really wanted to, if you could leave it that late if you want, but obviously relics in the middle are pretty important as well.
Yeah, that's an element kind of common to arena. I guess I could imagine Back in Black going from some sort of a siege monk rush to deal with, especially if the other player is playing defensive. I feel like that's probably a strategy he might actually consider.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes for the relics and then goes into some kind of siege, or you know, chokes out the resources, he could do that as well and make sure that the gold in the middle and the sides is not accessible. That's kind of a middle ground, I guess he could play. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, actually, I'm looking at the bans as well, and fortified clearing, which I feel is his map. No, sorry. He banned fortified clearing. Like that's the map he definitely doesn't want. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. So and same with Pacific Islands because that will go late and you can't necessarily do early aggression. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
to be
Plus
expected.
I feel like that's I'm actually not sure about how much either player prefers water maps. Um, because you can see in the pics we have some water maps, but they're maps that, um, let's say, even shoals where there's a lot of water, you can probably do some fishing. You can still kind of defend with just land units.
Hmm. Yeah, I've
So
seen shoals play
something
out
like
that way.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but yeah,
No,
shoals.
no,
I
that's fine.
feel like if you really wanted to, you could just go for the fishing ships early, and then kind of just give up on water in late feudal if you really wanted to, and then
Hmm.
just go for the sides. So the long term water play. I see lots of players overinvest in water and then they get crushed
Mm.
on land, but it's definitely a map that goes late. So Kerfoogle again going for a later kind of map. Um, but on Back in Black's side, I agree with his map choices for his playstyle. Rocky Forest, you can just slip through the sides and you can never fully wall. And then Cross is pretty
Yeah, yeah,
chaotic, so that's his game style, 100%.
yeah, 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 100%.
And then Acropolis, um, again hard to wall, um, because you have I think the rocky terrain goes to the back, right? So you can't like wall to the edge of the map.
Yeah,
So
I think there's an area where you can't wall in the back. Yeah.
so I think that plays to his favor as well. But again, even so, I still think the map usually goes later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
um,
especially if you have some decent tree lines on the starting Acropolis, you can probably keep enclosed for some time before venturing out.
yeah,
But at some point, wood is gonna be an issue. Uh,
yeah, yes,
I think
definitely.
much sooner than gold.
But just one thing to consider before we go into the civ picks as well, and just talking about the strategies that Back in Black does, and I'm definitely expecting to see it, is the double stable knight or step lancer if the civ has it, rush. So he will try to just flood the enemy with knights and castle age. So I'm
Yeah, yeah,
expecting some civs that might be good for that.
yeah. Well, let's give it a look, shall we?
Yep, over to the civs. Um, and yeah, sorry, I should say
Oh,
for Kerfoogle's side actually, because obviously we are more familiar with Back in Black, but I should just say
mm,
for Kerfoogle's side, he does seem to be what, as a lot of players in this bracket, they have really good fundamentals and they're really good at
mm,
responding to what other people throw at them as like a
mm-hmm,
really good skill. And that's kind of the camp that I put Kerfoogle in. He's not necessarily a super aggressive player, but he's just like a really solid player, and his map choices kind of go towards the late game. So I'm not surprised with anything that he's showing there at the moment. But yeah, Civ picks. Maybe we'll start with Back in Black.
yeah. I mean, you were absolutely right. I can already see what four civs with step lancers, if I'm not wrong.
Uh, uh, well,
Like
Mongols
I'm
and
I
uh,
know Mongols and Saracens have them.
yes. Do
I'm not sure
Saracens
about
have them
these two
actually?
though. Well, I was sure. Now I'm not sure anymore.
I think they just have camel, and same with Berbers. Persians don't have
Right.
them. So actually, I think it's only Mongols that have them.
Okay. Okay.
So we might see some night play. I reckon Mongols is
Hmm.
definitely the. I could be wrong, but the Acropolis map, um, it lends itself to Mongols quite well, I think.
Yeah, I would see Mongols on Acropolis as well. Yeah. And on
Um,
Kerfugel's side, that's actually quite a maybe. I could see Khmer, I think,
mm-hmm.
or I guess Lithuanians is probably going to be for let's say more of a relic-based map, like Zong, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. When I see Lithuanians, but maybe also Byzantines, those two I think for cross, you could do either
Mm,
one
okay.
of them for cross would be quite good. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but maybe Byzantines for cross actually because they have the faster firing fire ships, which is pretty important for that lake control. Um,
Yeah.
Shoals actually. So I don't see any really good like top tier water civs. Like Malay is played on shoals a lot, but not necessarily because of their ships. I mean, they only get the fishing
Yeah.
bonus, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but
Yeah. Plus,
Portuguese, yeah, go on.
I was thinking when, and actually Portuguese is, I was actually going to mention this because I was thinking when looking at shoals, there's always a later game strategy where you could see bomber galleons, cannon galleons.
Hmm.
So I can actually see Portuguese on shoals, but I'm not entirely sure from Back in Black's Civ picks whether any of those actually have cannon galleons.
Good point. I'm trying to think. I
Yeah, it's a tough
reckon.
one because we don't really see them play that much, right?
What's that? Sorry.
It's a tough thing to think about because we
Yeah.
don't really see them
Mm.
played that much, I guess.
True. I would say, yeah, like my memory for who has cannon galleons or not is pretty poor because, like you said, they don't get played all that much, the cannon galleon. But I reckon
Mm.
Saracens perhaps because they have that. Do they have an extra arrow on their galleys? I think. Well, no, that's the Armenians. They have faster firing galleys,
Yeah, yeah,
Saracens.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I reckon them for shoals, perhaps. Um, Rocky Forest, I think, is a night kind of civ map. So I reckon Persians or something there for Back in Black. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe Malians for Kerfoogle. But
Yeah,
I
I'm actually wondering right now where Vietnamese would fit into because Vietnamese is traditionally a very all-rounded kind of civ. Like
mm,
it's very flexible. You can do a lot of things with it. So I'm actually trying to maybe we could even see something like Vietnamese on Rocky Forest or Kerfoogle because of the mobility that it can also employ. So as
true.
long as you can defend the middle, you can circle around the forest with some with 5 6 cav archers and maybe find the opponent off guard, I guess.
Yeah. I've been really curious about Vietnamese because I've seen them actually played a lot in the tournament so far, but I've never really considered them. Well, currently, I don't consider them right now like as being a super good civilization, but maybe I'm just calibrating wrong. I, I, I don't know. I don't know about Vietnamese because I just don't know what they do super well.
That's the thing actually that I feel like they don't necessarily do something in particular super well, but they do a lot of things good
Yeah,
enough that if you can actually if you manage to somehow find a way to respond to an opponent in a way that you can defend and also maybe counterattack, then I feel like they're a good sieve to counter heavy aggression.
yeah, true. Um,
And then of course there's Byzantines, which again very defensive civ and
yes, Byzantines. Not my favourite civ because I feel as though they play quite boring if I'm being honest. But they're obviously a very solid pick and a good comfort pick for a lot of players, I think.
yeah.
Hindustanis is another one where it's like, see, I reckon Hindustanis is like a better version of Vietnamese. They're like, this civilization can do absolutely everything. Whatever you throw at me, we've got the counter. If you
Yeah.
go for archers, we go for the gulam. If you go for knights, we go for the camels. And then you've got the power unit, the hand cannoneer in the late game. And I feel like they have no bad matchups. So, um, yeah, I feel as though they're a better
Yeah.
version of Vietnamese.
I definitely agree with that, especially in the current patch. I think Hindustanis are quite well rated. I think they're maybe easily top 10 civs in terms of win rate as well at all levels. So,
100%. Bohemians are just another ban. I think that's the ban for Zong. because they're like
Yeah,
I reckon they're top tier Zong, sort of
yeah.
because
I,
of
I
their
I would
like
tend to agree. Yeah.
um, and then Magyar's Tatars is that I think that's quite smart from Cafu because he's done his homework, right? Oh, is this what you were alluding to, that
Yeah.
he banned the step ones and steps? Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. And it's also the fact that I think Kerfoogle definitely did his homework because Romans is a, let's say, is a hidden pick for Back in Black that I feel like he's used quite a lot in the past with the Siege Monk Rush strats.
yeah. And then Romans, I had a little quick look at Back in Black's page, and I think Romans is one of his best win rates, so that would have been a bit of a snipe there from uh,
Yeah,
Kerfoogle as well. We actually
yeah.
have Rbase in the stream. Hello, Rbase. Good to see you.
Hello,
Um,
hello.
we are just obviously Rbase being one of the key admins for the tournament. So well done, good work. Tournament's running smoothly. Um, but we are just waiting for the final save files to come through from up top from back in Black and Kerfoogle, and just chatting really until that happens. But happy to talk to anybody in the chat in the meantime. Uh, okay, so Arbe says if people stop cutting their fingers off, it'll be much smoother. I don't know what you're referring to there, Arbe. So obviously there must be some stress behind the scenes running a tournament like this. Not everything going completely smooth. Read the general chat. Okay. Okay. He's making me hunt for this.
Okay, yeah, this is I see a huge message in here. I'm excited to see what this is about, but judging by what Arbase just said in the chat, I'm not sure if I should be excited about it. Oh, I
Oh,
don't
okay.
like how this is starting.
Yeah. Okay. For the people, I can narrate. This guy says I can't read the name necessarily, but he says I spend most of my free time teaching martial arts. As such, this is a competitor, of course. As such, I have a sword collection of sharp blades used for practice cutting. On Monday, I was cleaning my house and moving them off my rack when I took a bad step and rolled my ankle. The sword slipped out of its saber and sliced 4 fingers on my right hand. Ended up spending Monday night in the ER with 19 stitches and was thinking I'd have to drop out. I went back to the doctor for a follow up on Thursday and told them I needed to get use of my right hand back for a video game tournament this weekend. Dedication, dedication. The doctor said, I got you. I don't know if this story is real. This cannot be real. The doctor said, I got you, and sent in a bunch of prescriptions for anti-inflammatory meds so that my swelling would go down and I could use my right hand again. It worked, and I managed to play my set today with 4 fingers individually bandaged. Guessing sword wounds aren't a common handicap to have in this game, but it felt on theme. Very on theme.
No,
That yeah,
I
go
feel
on.
like we have heroes in TTLC,
Yes.
and he won the set. Okay, definitely heroes. I mean, the doctor is a bit of a hero as well because I feel like there is a good chance that a doctor would look when you go ahead and say that the doctor would look at you and he'd be like, "Bro, seriously?" But this doctor was just like, "Okay, you know what? I got you."
I got you. I love that. Yeah,
This is
lots of
definitely a 5-star review.
yes. Can you rate my doctor.com? He'll be getting a 5 star, 100%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Um,
100%.
but yeah, it is funny because um, you get people that are so dedicated there into the find the practice partner part of the tournament. They're always there every night. They're practicing the maps. They're going hard. They're taking it super serious. They're like, this competition, I'm going to win it all. And then you have other players, which are very few and far between, are based who come in and they play their first set, and then they're like, you know what, I'm done, and then they
Yeah.
run off and don't play their remaining sets. But that's only a couple of players, but you get them on both sides of the coin. And actually, Back in Black had one in his group, which is a funny story in of itself. So there was a guy called the Flaming Camel, and I think Back in Black actually streamed um, the set. It was Flaming Camel versus Alpha Sinus. Um, this Flaming Camel guy was playing really well in game one, and then the game got completely away from him. I don't know how he lost it, but he lost it. And then they went into the second game. It was Acropolis. Um, Alpha Sinus, tried to steal some cows around the back, so his scout went to Flaming Camel's base and found these cows. I think he found two sets of cows, so four cows. And then this Flaming Camel guy was looking for his cows, realizing that they're probably stolen. He taps out in Dark Age and says, "You know what? I'm done. I'm done with this particular game." And it's a play all three. So even if he's lost two, you still have to play the third game. He doesn't play the third
Yeah.
game, and then he drops out of the tournament. So I think that might have been a rage quit just from my perspective, but um, yeah, hate to see when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is always a, let's say, a possibility that must be taken into account, especially when handling things like community games. But if you, for example, if you look at chat, Arbase is saying that in TTLC there was one player dropping out without any messages out of 200.
That's
I feel
amazing.
like that's incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, there's other players that dropped out for IRL stuff, but I mean, that's again, that's also one of the reasons why matches are, let's say, don't follow a very strict schedule. Instead, there's a time frame for each round where the players can talk to each other and book a time slot that suits both. But this is incredible to have only one uh, only one player dropping out without, let's say, any sort of verifiable reason out of 200. That's great.
100%. And as Arbe says, in real life stuff happens, and totally
Of course,
understand that.
of course, of
You
course.
can't. You know, you got to
I
be
mean,
understanding.
of course, um, one of the things that kind of kept me in the AOE community is exactly the fact that people are amazing. They're um, they're really passionate about the game, but they're also really passionate about the sense of community that it brings. And this is one of the things that kept me here for a long time now. I've I've actually um, started looking into, or rather, I can't say playing because I was 5 years old, but first time I actually, no, 6 years old. First time I actually heard or saw Age of Empires was back in the day where I would sit on my grandpa's lap and he'd be playing Age of Empires 1
That's classic.
on a PC that nowadays is not even, I don't know, it's not even like worthy of being a phone anymore
Right.
in terms of performance. But after that, I just kind of got into it once I grew up a bit, and well, 20 something years later, here we are. Yeah,
What
yeah, Arbase, if I feel you with borrowing the CD from a neighbor for Age of Kings. Yeah.
I think everybody has that nostalgia because I remember when uh, yeah, we played it in the late 90s as well, but I had no idea, I had no concept because I was like 9 years old or something at the time. I had no
Mm.
concept of how you're supposed to play like a multiplayer game. The internet connection was terrible, so playing against real people was like a bit of a novelty. So I had no idea what I was doing, and then obviously you move on and do other things, but always having that nostalgia for the game. Then COVID comes along, right? And then you see,
Yeah.
oh, Age of Empires coming out with Definitive Edition. Let's pick it up. This sounds amazing. Let's get back into it. And then it basically me and my wife just playing Age of Empires all throughout COVID, falling in love with the game again, um, and knowing how to play multiplayer games at that point. Um, and yeah, it was just incredible. And so we moved to Norway as well for a bit, for a year, and just sitting through a Norwegian winter, where it's like snowing outside. What are we going to do in this tiny apartment in Norway?
Oh, I wonder.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we'll get back into the Age of Empires again. Yeah. Our says,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
sorry. I was just going to say, our says they're in the game. We know they're in the game, but we want to take it from the beginning. So we're just going to wait until they post the results. I think that's the best way to do it. Yes.
yeah, somehow it. Oh, I see games appearing. Um,
Oh,
but something looks interesting, I guess, because I see Rocky Forest and Shoals, but to my understanding, they should be starting on Acropolis, right?
yes, they should be.
Or, hmm,
Um,
do you see anything else on your end?
I only see what you see with
Okay.
Rocky Forest and Shoals, but the saved files are available.
Yeah.
So there's
So,
that.
Arbase they started sometime shortly after 11 a.m. GMT plus 3. So almost 2 hours ago. So they've already played 2 games at least. Actually, maybe even more than that.
If they've played
But
Acropolis,
unfortunately, we weren't able to hop on from the very beginning. So now that's why we're waiting on save games to appear on AO Insight. So we have 2 of them now, but um, we we don't have the initial one for Acropolis. So for the admin pick map.
yeah,
Again, assuming that the admin pick map is the one that's played first, I imagine.
it should be. Um, it should be, unless our base corrects us. It should be the same format as the best of three. That's what I was assuming, but maybe it's different.
Um, one noob question on my side. Does it matter which point of view we play as a replay?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. That's what I thought, but wanted to make sure. Okay.
Um, hmm. How to tackle this?
Well, I guess we can probably give it a little more
Yeah,
time
I'm happy to
for
keep chatting.
maybe for Acropolis to show up at least.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
if I remember correctly, when we started, you said that they were in shows, so I imagine they've only played the 3
yeah.
so far.
Yes. Yeah. No, they. Sorry. They were. I got here a little early. Saw that they were playing Rocky Forest, and I was able
Okay.
to to get into that, but not watch it. I just had it in the background. But then they started playing Shoals after that. I just don't know if they played Acropolis before they played Rocky Forest.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. Cool. Um, hmm. Yeah, maybe they. Our base says maybe they played on a private lobby. That's entirely possible.
Yeah. Very possible.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, happy to keep talking because you were talking about community. It's the reason why you stuck with it. I 100% agree. I played. I was a big Dota player. Like incredibly average. I was never any good, but I played a lot of Dota, and that has to be the most toxic game uh, ever. I reckon. A lot of fun, but there came a point where I was just like, this community sucks. Like, I got to step away from this. This is terrible. And then Age of Empires is the complete opposite, I feel. with how supportive everybody is. People are in Discord. They create community tournaments, posting memes, and just doing positive stuff rather than
Yeah.
the negative. 100%.
Yeah, I feel that I came from a long history of League of Legends. So,
Yeah.
and I'm talking upwards of 5 years. So yeah, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Dota League of Legends is the same kettle of fish, isn't it? It's just, yeah. Yeah. It's just something else. It's just
Yeah,
something else.
yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but actually, I need to correct the record because I did a bit of a recap stream before quarterfinals began, and in Group D, I said that the top two would have been Witty Matty and Pelican, and this other guy,
Okay.
Cheddar, was kind of near the bottom of the table, but he had a couple of games to play, and he completely surprised me. He 3-0'd somebody, and then he did 2-1 against somebody else. I wasn't expecting it, so I just need to do a quick
Mm.
shout out to Cheddar and say I didn't include you in that recap because I had assumed that you weren't going to make it, but you got into the top two, knocked Pelican down, ruined his chances. Uh, yeah, so congrats to that guy. Keeping an eye on this. AoE Insights.
Yeah.
Hmm. I reckon we just go for it. Don't you reckon?
We could. I'm just trying to add the Rex to where they belong.
Yeah.
And I should be good to go in a minute or so.
Yeah, all good. No rush there. I uploaded Shoals twice. That's not going to be very good, is
I almost made exactly the same thing.
it?
Okay, one down. Okay. Well, let's see if I've done my job right. I'm also just every once in a while refreshing the browser just to see if
Same.
anything else comes up.
Yeah, yeah.
I've kind of given up. I've kind of given up on the Acropolis match appearing, but then
Yeah.
again,
Agreed.
okay. So which ones would you like to start with, Rocky or shows?
I think we'll start with Rocky Forest, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
first one I saw go through.
Okay, sounds good.
As I'll switch to live scene. All right, are you in the game?
I am not yet. Capture age is loading.
No problem.
So, ready to go when you are.
Cool. Are you currently at 1 second?
I am at 004, but I can rewind.
Yeah, go to right to the start, and then I'll count us in.
Okay, 001.
Perfect. Okay.
Shall we?
3, 2, 1, play.
Okay, so
Apologies, mine didn't work. I stored it on rewind mode. Sorry, if you could go back to 0. That's my bad.
No worries. Coming back to 0. No worries. Okay, count us down when you're ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, start.
All right, let's see what we got. So, introductions. We have Back in Black on the eastern, well, northwestern side of the map, playing in red as Goths. So none of our predictions actually were true for this
No.
map.
He might have something special lined up for this because this is unusual.
Yeah, I imagine. I wonder if we're gonna see a drush from him.
Yeah.
Going into the southern side of the map where we have Kerfoogle in blue, playing as the Lithuanians, which is an interesting choice for this map, I think. There are relics, but I think both of us kind of agreed that we would have seen the Civ to one of the other maps in the pool.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think it's fine because obviously it's got the mobility factor. If you do get a couple of relics, and you can do some night rush. I feel like this map kind of goes into night rush, so that plays into Lithuanians' hands. But
Yeah.
so I think it's an okay pick for sure. But Goths, on the other hand, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't play a lot of Goths and don't see them all that often, but their night line isn't the greatest, I believe.
I think you kind of got me there, but well, I feel like I'm not entirely sure what to think here because I feel like our base in the chat is saying trash rush, but um I'm wondering here if Back in Black kind of thinks late game because I feel like I'm not entirely sure if Lithuanians can keep up with a Goth Huskarl spam, whereas like Arbis is saying in the chat, yeah, I completely agree that a Goth early game aggro, a drush would be interesting to see here.
And I have seen it work. I've seen 2 games where it has really put the opponent back, and one of those games led to a win. So it's not unusual to see it on this map from what I've seen from this division. So yeah, I think it's a good strategy. I just don't know about the late game though. Obviously the late game is amazing for Goth, no doubt about that. But whether you can get there or not would be another thing.
That's the main question, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But if you can get there, obviously it will be incredible. You've got halberdiers coming out like ants from a trillion barracks against Lithuanians. That would be a problem.
True, but then again, our base is right in chat. Hand cannoneers from Lith. I feel like it could be enough, even though, as you say, infantry spam is gonna be a little hard to put up with.
I just haven't
It's also going to be interesting to see what... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just haven't seen this doesn't seem like a back in black Civ, and from what I've seen so far, he could pull out something a completely different style that I haven't seen before, 100%. I just haven't seen him with this type of civilization before, so I'm just very curious how he's going to make it work.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually haven't seen him ever play Goth so far. I mean, I haven't seen all his games, of course, but um, it's just for some civs, if I see him playing them, I can definitely know kind of what to expect more or less. But with Goth, I have no idea. I mean, he could even pull off a Dow strat and just go Goth CA.
Yeah, yeah. It could be, and I know we're focusing on black and black here a lot, but I think that's probably it's going to be natural here. But maybe it's a
Of course.
product of the best of five format. A lot of his type of civs were banned with Tatars and Magyars. Magyars would be amazing on this map, I think. Them
Yep.
being banned out and him falling back to other civs, and maybe he wants to start out and with the least preferred civ, although we don't know if this is game one, of course. Just thought about that, but
True.
um,
True.
you know, saving civs for other maps that he's more comfortable on. Maybe that plays a factor in the best of five.
So this is interesting right now. Both players are almost up to feudal with Kerfoogle with a little bit of an advantage there. I wonder if the Vil building the barracks for Kerfoogle is instantly gonna build a stable and
I
just
think
go
so.
straight into Scouts Rush.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yep, there we go.
2 villages on there as well.
Yeah,
And actually, that scout is chasing back in black. He's going to have 20 seconds of free hits on that as we wait for feudal to
yeah.
come up.
But
Um,
but Back in Black scouted the stable, right? So let's see
Yeah.
what the reaction is gonna be. I expect the spear coming out as soon as feudal comes in. Yep, there we go, two of them.
Yep, and a stable. So uh, I feel as though this is how this map plays out every single time. Is stable for both players and spear defense. So you can keep your scouts on the aggression, and then you can fall back to spears on your woodline.
Yep. I think I saw Back in Black push some deer, but I don't think Kerfoogle did any of that. It doesn't look like it.
No, that's right.
So there's already a little bit of a difference in approach here with a little more food, or let's say free food becoming available to Back in Black earlier on.
Yep, and we actually see Lithuanians going to the farms. Got 6 farms now, which is a big investment. We've still got dead ducks underneath TC, but that's obviously going to come to an end soon too.
Yep.
Actually, just while we're in feudal age here, and we see the scout build up for Kerfoogle and an equal scout build up for Back in Black, I feel as though this is a Franks map. And I just haven't seen Franks on this map, but it just occurred to me that I just haven't seen Franks at all during this tournament. Yeah, that's kind of curious.
That's a very fair shout, especially with ranks. You can take advantage of double bonuses on this map, right? Because you have the transition into the farm economy with the free upgrades, and then you definitely have the advantage of the more powerful scouts.
100%. And we actually see this is quite a good strategy from Kerfoogle. He's got the spearmen with the scouts, so you can have kind of spearmen tracking them. Obviously, they do very little damage, but interesting to see the combination there. Whereas on the other side, it is, it could be a mistake because we've got scouts attacking villages with only one spear chasing on the Kerfoogle side of the map.
Yep, yep. Yeah, and also Arbase is saying in the chat that he would have liked to see God's Man at Arms, and I agree with that because you
Yeah.
kind of you put pressure early, and then you can already you can start your barracks forward directly, so you can place it next to the rocky terrain by the opponent's forest, and then with those vills, 1, 2 vills, you go immediately back for the hunt, and you have a lot of, let's say, free economy on the food side,
Oh, so
because now
sorry, just we see a wall in for the villagers. The villager nearly dead on Kerfoogle's side that was walled in with palisades. That was a great fight.
yeah,
But yeah, please continue.
but there's also a dead vill.
Yes.
Well, I feel like I've missed something. Oh, no, it's fine. So one vill that Back in Black managed to get. It could have been more, right? But thanks to that great reaction, it was only one, and 2 scouts are almost already dead, right? So 20 HP between the two of them.
Yeah. We're
And
gonna
now we see
see.
a
Yeah, so
transition in skirms.
yeah. I guess that's in response to the spears. I might have even just preferred archers, but I know skirms are also pretty good against spears, so that's
Especially
fair.
since they're Lithuanian skirms, right? So there is a slight advantage there as well.
True, actually, yeah, that's 100% right. And we're seeing a lot of early aggression in multiple areas for both players, um, but only one eco kill, and Back in Black picking up that one eco kill. So
But
both,
also, Back
yeah,
in Black lost some army in the middle, right? So now he has 2 scouts that are very low HP, and then a half HP scout that he's using for scouting right now. So Back in Black is a bit behind in army right now. I feel like in total HP of army.
yep. And actually, we see Kerfoogle has about 500 food as well, so we might expect him, even though he's got fewer villagers, he could be up the castle a little bit earlier, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely almost there by the looks of it.
And Kerfoogle is on coming into this wood line as well with these skirms and these scouts. Um, but he is going to let those scouts die to the spearmen, which is not ideal. And now these skirmishes are exposed, so this hasn't worked out for him. I thought it was looking pretty dangerous.
It was definitely looking pretty dangerous, but I feel like the scouts ran ahead a little too soon, and like you said, they left the skirms in the back exposed. But that was also partly thanks for the good spearman placement near the lumber camp in advance, right? So that was a bit of an anticipation there.
True. And this forward position for Kerfoogle, as great as it was, I think is not going to last for too much longer, and we're going to see a continual repair of this palisade. As wood will just continuously sink into that.
But then again, 10 more gold, and Kerfoogle can click up. So there's a bit of an advantage there. But then again, Back in Black is also not that far behind. Relatively similar in vill numbers as well. So 40 to 37 at the moment. And there's a click up for blue.
Yeah, very close match. And it will all be okay. This is Back in Black's time. I feel like this is where he puts pedal to the metal and goes super aggressive as soon as he hits his castle time. And maybe Kerfoogle has already scouted this out from Back in Black, watching previous recordings. I don't know, but we'll see how he responds.
Well, we already see a second stable in a second and a third stable in Back in Black's base. So this is gonna be a night spam.
Yeah.
A Goth night spam.
Bloodline.
Fairly sure that this is gonna be
forging.
a transition. Yeah.
He's gonna go all in knights.
Yeah. There are a few spearmen in Kerfoogle's base waiting, not producing anymore at the moment. But then again, and also Kerfoogle is researching cavalry armor. So maybe he also plans a relatively similar story for Castle Age. Then again, he is Lithuanian, so that's expected.
That's expected, but he still only has one stable from as far as I can see at the moment. So in terms of production, he's going to be behind. He's going to get to castle first, but without that production, that's going to be tough. We do see some pre-walls on this wood line, so he's going to be ready for that. but the stone in the back of the base would be exposed, and that gold. So, don't know about this.
That's an all-out spear brawl down there by the tree line.
It is.
I feel like these 5 scouts with foraging can probably break through the palisades relatively quickly.
Agreed.
Especially now that Kerfoogle doesn't have any spears back home.
Tower on
Yeah,
the
you
wood
can see
line
that
is
palisade going
nice,
down.
but yes, I don't know how he's going to defend from here. He could go more towers perhaps, but I'm sure he wants a castle.
Yeah, that's a downside for Lithuanians, right? Because you really want, if you want to go into the unique unit, you really want your win conditions are the relics, and before that the stone, right? So if you start spamming towers, you essentially delay your build, and we already see quite a lot of knights in Kerfoogle's base.
Yes, and they've found the stone as well, and the knights have arrived. So he's going to fall off that stone, short of the stone he needs for a castle. Perhaps he should have walled in that stone preemptively, I feel.
Well, I feel like the thinking for Kerfoogle was to wall in the gold, because even if you get pushed back off stone, you can still buy a castle. It's
True.
a little more pricier, but you can still buy a castle. The problem is that gold is not really safe either. I mean,
Yeah. And actually we see knights just not attacking the palisade there. If you attack these palisades from multiple angles, then you're definitely going to break through.
yep,
And he has broken
there
through.
we go. There we go. It's almost as if they heard you.
Yeah. Yeah, all of those golds are just going to go down. And he's still only producing off one stable as well, which is, I feel as though that's the main issue. He has just produced another one now, but a little too late, I feel.
It's also the fact that even if these vills stay in the, yeah, there we go, the GG is called.
Yeah.
Because even if you can garrison all the villagers in the town center, it's still a problem with those knights, right? First of all, you idle almost your entire economy, and then even if for some reason the knights leave the town center alone, they can just start taking buildings, and there's not really much you can do about it because, as you say, there's not enough production. So I feel like this was a really good transition to Castle Age by Back in Black.
Definitely, but I wonder how Kerfoogle was going to play it from here, because I feel as though Back in Black has shown his hand what his most effective strategy is. Will he have the capability to kind of respond to that if he sees it again? That would be the main thing for me. But
Yep.
actually, Goth.
Yeah. So as you said, adaptation, right? So especially in this tier, I'm expecting to see that.
Definitely, and the Goth play. It didn't matter what civ it was going into knights. No worries. You can go into knights for anyone, unless they only have cameras.
Yep. Pretty much. But this also ties back into what you were saying about Franks, right? I mean, imagine if these knights were Franks.
Yeah.
They had an even bigger advantage.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the civ was also neither pig nor banned, so.
Yeah. I'm just traumatized by Franks, because when I was learning how to play Franks, I just saw Franks every single game. I was getting scout rushed every game, and then into knights, and I was like, how do I counter this? Franks obviously not as good as they were maybe a couple of years ago, but they're still very good.
Yeah.
Shall we head into the next game, Shoals?
Let's do it. Loading up just now. Okay, not loading up. Our base asked us to hold on for a sec.
Okay, sure.
So let's see. Hey, Grey Juice.
Hey, Great Juice. Our base might be able to get game one. Okay.
Ah, there we go. We have something on the Discord.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Let's see. So, Back in Black actually just sent me a game file. I imagine it's game one. Let's find out.
It is a campfire.
Hi, Grey Juice. Co-caster is Liv. That's me.
Yes, sorry.
You're probably not gonna know me. This is my first ever stream, so.
Very much appreciate you to be here. Love to have a co-caster with me.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to do this. This is especially for me as a first experience. This is definitely a lot better with having your experience on the cast.
My very limited experience, but experience nonetheless.
It's definitely more experience than mine. So. Okay, let's see. Oh, and Cross also became available on Insights. So that would be game 4.
Oh, and my game has found a good time to not work.
Okay, let's see. Here's hoping that my game actually boots up.
Yep.
Ah, there we go.
Yes, I can confirm it is Acropolis.
Yeah, and it looks like it is working. So let me just go.
You tell me when you're in, but I will download this cross game as well.
Yep, I have both of them, and I am, let's see, at second 0 of Acropolis, so whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Just 1 second. All right, I'm at 0-0. I'll count us in. 3, 2,
Let's go.
1, go. Oh, I did the same thing as last time. I'm so sorry. If you could just go back.
No worries. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Let's go back to 0. Whenever you're ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Perfect.
There we go. We have, okay, I'll do the intros for this one. So, Kerfoogle on the Byzantines, which, let's return to that as a pick for this map because I find that curious. And Back in Black in the Berbers, which I feel as though if you're Kerfoogle, if you see Berbers, you have to think some more night rushes, I think, coming into Castle because that's what they're amazing at. So maybe, if I just continue pontificating here, Byzantines could be picked because of the counter unit potential. You got the cheaper camels, you got the cheaper counter units.
Yep.
So maybe he could be playing into that. I'm not sure, but what do you think of these picks?
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this pans out because even for example, if Byzantines finds a way to go up, you would think Cataphracts might be a good play, right? Because if I recall correctly, Cataphracts don't really much care about spears or pikes or even camels.
Yep.
I mean, camels are a counter on paper, yes, but given enough numbers, I don't really expect Cataphracts to have any sort of issue against camels. But the main question is, can you get there?
Yes. Um, yep. That's right. I mean, you got the cheaper, as you're alluding to. I think the cheaper uptime. I think that is that them
Yep.
or Italians. Yeah, cheaper uptime.
Uh, Italians have it for all ages. The Byzantines having for Imperial.
That's the one. Yeah. And actually seeing Back in Black coming down to this wood line next to the pond, right from the very get-go. So I don't mind it because that wood line is pretty close to the home base. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I also see this. If you look at the house placement, I expect uh, I expect a wall starting from that house that kind of protects the wood line.
Yep. And this villager might also. I feel like if you go for this wood line as well, you might as well just go for the dock in the middle too. Sometimes you see players go for it. Sometimes you see them think it's not worth it. There's only 450 food on these deep fish, but we're going to see a scout battle here as well. The villager will come over and
Yeah.
scare him away. But yeah, going to see the dock here for Back in Black.
The only time a villager actually scares a scout off, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we
Those,
see a dock at almost the same time, so
yeah.
this is becoming interesting because I'm wondering if they're just gonna, let's say, friendly share the resources, because as you mentioned, there are not that many, or are we gonna see a water contest?
Well, I feel like Byzantines is in the advantage for this part of the game with their faster
Yeah,
firing fire galleys. If you can start the fight, at the same time, Byzantines will always come out ahead. So, in favour of Byzantines for that. But I feel like the pond, you kind of get two fishing ships out, you kind of leave it at that, and if a fire ship comes out, you kind of just say, oh well, you can have it, you've invested in the fire ship, I'm not going to invest in fire ships on my side, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because a fire ship also puts you back quite a bit in gold, so it does hamper your castle time a little bit. So I think a lot of players just think it's not worth it to contest. Could be a friendly
Yeah,
share,
especially
like you
for
said.
this amount of limited resources, right? And I also don't really expect seeing any sort of fish boom going on around here. I mean,
No.
there would be space, but it's also it's such a huge resources investment. But we also have uh, we also have a lot of, let's say, easy ways to target the fish, right?
Yeah, unless you're Malay, although I would not suggest this with fish traps. I always, whenever I see maps on board, I'm like, can I take advantage of this with Malay somehow? I don't think this is the map for it because it's right in the middle of the map. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, yeah, there's gonna be no fish boom. Although we see 3 fishing ships for Kerfoogle and 2. Well, sorry, there are 3 there as well, so 3 apiece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing on berries for Cthulhu yet, and same for Back in Black, which I think is the right play. The water is more important, it's quicker food source, so preferencing that I think is correct.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Barracks coming
We
in
also
here.
see,
Yep.
yeah, barracks for both players. And also Kerfoogle starting to wall his base up top the Acropolis. But I'm wondering how much. So this is definitely a good thing to do, but I'm wondering how much is this wood gonna last him? Because if we look at the walls, there's not a lot of wood there inside.
Yep. He's going to have to quickly go outside of this base. It's could be good to save that farming eco, but I think this map is all about map control. I would prefer to save that wood and play it open and invest somewhere else. Maybe put some spears back here. That would be.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our base in chat is also hating the egg walls. So.
Yeah, they're tiny. It's like it's almost like small walls. And it doesn't limit the potential for a castle or something to come up here later, because you still have that big spot on the right as well. So, and Berber Knights are gonna just absolutely charge through these palisades if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering, we see a fire in the middle for Kerfoogle, and that completely destroyed Back in Black's fish, and also no reaction. So I think Back in Black was just content with what he gathered and was like, you know what? There's only one fish left, one shorefish, 153 food. That's okay. You can have it.
Yeah, and we
but
see
also double fire investment. I feel like this is overdoing it a bit.
Definitely. I think that's really smart by Back in Black, because if you see Byzantines, I wouldn't contest that either, because you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, actually, he's thought about it and he's going to do a demolition raft.
I mean, at this point, is that really necessary? At this point, I feel like you didn't want to contest water, so just let the dog go.
Yeah.
At least that would be my idea, but I don't know. Maybe he has some trick up his sleeve for later on with the dog.
He's going to go demolition raft for the fish. So he got a fishing ship out of it.
Okay. So essentially, he's trying to deny some resources from Kerfoogle while his scouts are already almost in Kerfoogle's base, but well, they can't access it at the moment.
We see a lot of idle time as well. Like you said, these trees are basically gone already, and there were some villages that couldn't access any trees. And he's going to have to get out of these walls pretty quickly down to another wood line. It could be hard with these scouts. Does have spears prepared though, so it is entirely possible.
Yeah.
But it's advantage Back in Black. I feel like aggression trumps all other game styles at this bracket, because we see all the action at Kerfoogle's base and none of the action in Back in Black's base, other than of course the pond. But Back in Black's just able to chug along as usual and not be threatened there.
Yeah, I also remember a conversation I had with Back in Black some time ago where he was. So you remember I told you that a long time ago he was a very huge fan of Arena, right? And the sort of defensive booming build.
Yeah.
Recently I had a chat with him, and he's of the opinion that because I started the conversation saying, okay, so this is a mix between if you are putting the pressure on your opponent, or if you are put under pressure. In my mind, I said, okay, for me, it feels like it's easier to manage a defense and vill production at the same time, because I'm closer to home, right? And he looked at me and he said, well, actually, come to think of it, if you have an army in your face at home, then yes, you have, let's say, less of a screen move to go from your army to your TC or to your vills. But at the same time, you're the one that's under pressure. So if you're the one that attacks and puts your opponent under pressure, it's actually easier for you to cycle home every once in a while and make sure that your eco is up and running.
Yeah.
And that was an eye-opener for me, right? Because it's entirely true.
Yeah, I agree. And as a player, and I'm slightly worse than both of these players. I think I'm like 1,150. But whenever I see these kind of situations, my first instinct is to how do I get this aggression off me and onto him. So I might be doing the same thing with him as repairing these walls, but I would be doing my best to send scouts forward to his base because as an aggression play, you might not have the defensive walls or army back at your base kind of thing. So that's what I always try to do is how do I get the aggression off me and onto him.
So there's an interesting thing here that Arbase is saying in the chat. If we look at resources collected, there is a slight difference, a 300 bonus for in resources collected. However, the bonus is for back in black, right? The advantage is for back in black, whereas Kerfoogle is the one that won water. So in principle, you would expect blue to have more resources at this point. However, maybe tying into the wood economy that was heavily impacted by the egg walls, this is the result that we see.
Yeah, a lot of inefficiency at that start of the game for sure. But he does have the faster castle time, and he does already have his second TC. So, you know, maybe he's done enough here to regain the eco lead with this extra TC up already.
Yeah, plus the camels that we see on the hillside, there's no way for scouts to ever approach his base now, right?
True. And you know, seeing those, so he back in black has seen the camels as well, so that might dissuade him from going from his usual strategy of the double, if not triple stable. He might do a different play, but that might not be in the Berbers' ultimate interest either because they're so good with knights.
Well, we're saying that while a third stable goes up for back in black. So.
Oh, okay. He's gonna do it anyway. He's committed to the strategy.
Yep. That was a good quick wall on the gold, or
Very
quick
good.
house, I should say. That's one fill down. I feel like there's scope for another fill to go down. If the camel circled the other way around and find this fill that's building houses next to the gold in the south.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly there. That vill is dead. Well, let's see which side of the tree line the camels go.
Yeah, and the spears are already across, so
yeah,
no good there. I'm very curious actually. So we're seeing spears a lot in both games, but this is a lot of spears. That's 8 spears. I would tend to think that's an overreaction, just because they are so intensive on wood and food. It does slow down something like a castle edge, but he is there already, so maybe not so much of an issue.
So this is an interesting decision here by Kerfoogle, right? He went mangonels, so a forward siege workshop with mangonels. I wonder where that decision is coming from, right? Because into knights, it's not necessarily something you really want to prioritize, I feel like.
And he's popped another one out as well, so that's exposed and likely to go down pretty quick. And he's let those knights die, those camels die as well before these other ones get across here. So I feel like he could have approached that differently and tried to delay this fight and keep those camels around.
Yep. Well, at least he got the mangonel out, right? Because I feel like Back in Black didn't see it.
Yeah.
So now he has a mango, but that's a mango that's at home. So I wonder what I really wonder what the value of this mangonel is going to turn out to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a sit-at-home mangonel until you can regain the advantage, which might not be for a while. And this villager is running to close this gap and decides to do a house. Very well played.
That was a good quick wall, yeah.
That was
quick
clutch.
house. And the mangonel is down. But then again, into this many camels, these knights are not really that valuable.
No.
As long as the knights are in the same place as the camels, those knights basically don't really... Well, I say that, but let's see how the fight goes.
They're equal in blacksmith upgrades as well. Got spearmen to help as well. That could... they're only spearmen, they're not pikes. So we are seeing the advantage there go back in black. And
Berber Knights, right?
yeah,
Okay, this was an interesting fight. If I were to predict how this fight was gonna go, I would not have chosen the Knights, but well, here we are. And there's a castle drop inside his base from Kerfoogle.
yep. So he is worried, and there's knights under the second TC as well, and not all the villagers can get in there. So that's going to be a lot of dead villagers. He is definitely running a villager lead, but that might be cut down to even pretty soon.
Yeah, there's already a 15 to 4 eco KD difference, and that's growing for Back in Black.
You know, I might even consider going into fletching or bodkin just to protect against knights with TC fire, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that also helps castle fire, right? But I feel like I wonder what the next step is gonna be, because we see Kerfoogle starting to bank a bit of food and gold. I'm not sure if that's intended to go towards Imperial. It doesn't look like it with the upgrades.
Yeah, I feel as though that's
you're also down to 2 camels, right? So there's a bit of an uphill battle that Kerfoogle needs to run here.
I feel as though as long as he can hold, although this is a lot of idle time with knights on the TC, I think he needs to get some more camels on the field for sure, hold, and then go to Imperial. Wouldn't suggest rushing for Imperial right now with all these knights.
I wonder if there's, I wonder if Back in Black is angling towards him. No, apparently not. I was wondering with this much of an army advantage and this much of an eco kill advantage, I wondered if there was a scope there for just idling and going in.
True. He basically has the food for it, but he is going to go into the second TC instead. I mean, maybe he can sustain the second TC and still have enough banked to go up as long as he gets the gold.
Yeah, I wonder here, right? Because I feel like, so Arbase was just saying in chat that Back in Black didn't try to catch a booming, and I feel like that was a very good decision because I mean they're relatively equal in KD in eco right now, right? Thanks to how many vills Back in Black managed to kill. I'm not entirely sure now about the second TC for Back in Black though, because with this pressure, with this advantage, I wonder if there was ever an angle to just siege workshop forward and ram down that TC.
Yeah. He might just get it with knights though. How many knights do you need to take down a TC that doesn't have fletching, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
He has...
Yeah, Arbase, you're right. Yeah, my bad. Not a workshop, a castle. You're right.
Right.
You do. Well, he does have this. He does have the stone.
True.
And a third TC coming down from Back in Black. So he's kind of shifting into a booming approach.
The knights somehow find this back TC with Kerfoogle, by the way. I don't know how, but he went straight past it. But actually, we are going to see a castle drop, and that's interesting. I would wait until those knights are back potentially, but I guess he feels secure enough with the pikemen there.
Okay, the castle drop is coming down.
Yeah.
Well, the knights effectively managed to idle the TC in the back.
Oh, we're going to see a response castle, actually.
Oh, wow, okay. And it's also on the hill, so in principle, I feel like Blue Castle is going to have an advantage if it manages to get up.
Ooh. You know, the
more vills, so they're going to come up at roughly the same time here.
Yep. And we see monks.
Blue was actually first. Yeah. I wonder what the plan is now for Back in Black, right? Because he kind of stopped producing knights. He has the batch of knights that used to raid. But it looks like that's kind of it.
I think he's going to go. He's much further ahead to get to Imperial.
Yeah. There we go. He should click up just now.
Yeah, there we
There we
go.
go.
So he'll be first to Trebuchets. Byzantines are 4 stronger castles, but Kerfoogle's nowhere near in terms of.
No, but he's not. But look at the queue. Petards are coming in.
Oh,
That castle is not gonna stay up long.
yes. Petard, a forgotten unit for me. I never use petards, I always forget, but this is a perfect scenario in which they can be used.
Yep. So Kerfoogle is going out for gold, really close to Back in Black's TC areas.
Yep. And actually, just looking at the scouting, he does see the TC there. An interesting part of this map is this bottom part of the map is fairly underutilized and not very resource rich. There's no gold down there, so I can see why he's gone for this top part. But there is 1 gold down there. Maybe that would have been the safest.
Yeah,
play.
there's actually one gold on either side, 1 gold and 1 stone on either side of the map, right? But they're quite far apart.
Yeah. So yes, this castle's definitely going to go down, even if you can't repair it because the castle will fire down any repair villages. So I don't see any way.
Well,
this
you have a chance to repair it if you somehow manage to garrison vills and ungarrison them in between the castles, because Kerfoogle doesn't have murder holes, right?
Yeah.
So it's a niche thing to do, but then again, you have petards there, so yeah, that castle's going down just about now. Also, this army for Back in Black was a bit of a waste, I think. And also building petards now is not a great idea, because this castle is going down either way.
Yep, there it goes. And, getting into a castle war with Byzantines, never a wise idea.
Yeah,
especially with
never a wise idea.
The pikemen.
Oh, and there's also a castle drop on the top side of the map.
Oh, I didn't even realize that, yeah.
And the response castle coming,
yeah.
well, being built with 2 vills, that's oh, one vill escaped. A bunch of camels just ran by him.
They saw
Oh, no, there we go.
Went for his family instead on the wood one. But yeah, these resources are going to be completely denied. The camels do have 2. They've got chain barding mail armor, so the TC fire is not as effective. We've got Cavalier coming up, but we've got a couple of monks here doing conversions, so that was a really great addition there for Kerfoogle. And we even see a cataphract on the floor. Oh, a couple actually, yeah.
I wonder why the decision to go into Cavalier, right? Because we mentioned earlier, at this point you're imp. Go camel. Go have a camel.
Yeah. Well, after all of that, the attack was eventually warded off.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of kills, and we've seen the catch up there with the eco kill death ratio. Kerfoogle's nowhere near Imperial yet either, though, so he is at a bit of a disadvantage there.
True, but look at the eco difference now. There's 30 vills up for Kerfoogle at this point.
Yeah. True. Very true. He's still investing in upgrades like iron casting, though.
So I wonder, there's this sneaky villager that just built a line of outposts towards the east of the map.
Yep.
Now I see him going back, but it would have been interesting if Kerfoogle decided to do something sneaky, like a tower somewhere here.
That's always my favorite.
We have Back in Black here in chat with us. Hello, welcome aboard.
Hello. Can you hear him? I can't hear him.
Oh no, he's in the Twitch chat.
Oh, in the Twitch chat. Sorry, yes. I thought he'd join into our voice chat.
I think we're in the restricted room.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Siege workshop here for Kerfoogle. Though I can't remember if that was already there or not. More and more monks. So monks against the cavalier with camels. I feel like he needs to get up to Imperial still.
Yeah.
And on the other
Yeah,
side of
I
the
also-
coin, Black and Black needs to take advantage of this Imperial time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's also the fact that Kerfoogle is researching Lightcap right now, which is probably for raiding. I mean, I would see that happening,
Mm-hmm.
but it's maybe not the priority you should have. Then
No.
again, Kerfoogle has enough to just buy imp at this point.
Look at these monks go. Let's see
This
how
is not a
good.
great battle for Black and Black. It's
No.
uphill.
And now they're
That's a
all
lot of conversions going through.
also underrated. Is all those monks have faster healing on the Byzantines, so that
Yeah.
kind of came into play a little bit too. But the conversions were obviously the most clutch thing. You've got to see villagers actually try to take out these trebuchets that are now unprotected. And yeah, the tide has turned again a little bit.
Yeah. And also Kerfoogle just clicked up to him, so based on this fight, if he can somehow produce a little more, and he has 15 camels in queue, so he's definitely producing.
Yeah.
123 vills. I mean, yeah, okay, the castle in the north was stripped down, but I feel like I kind of favor Blue's position at this point.
Yeah. And he has gone to that gold on the left side of the map, so even though he's taken off those 2 golds, he does have a backup, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
And
CR
actually,
base, take care.
CR base, good to see ya. We actually see some gold next to the pond not being utilized.
Ah, true. I didn't even spot this one. You're right.
Yeah. Oh, and actually we've got a lot of stone being mined here for Kerfoogle with 13 villages. It's gone unseen, I believe, but that could be a lot of dead villages.
There's also a TC coming out from Black and Black in the south to the gold that you mentioned earlier, see?
Yes.
But it's only 3 vills. Well, I suppose it's producing a lot more, but... Ooh, Black and Black is housed at the moment. No. And we see the instant reaction of building like 10 houses.
This trip is going to be sniped, but these converted cavaliers will go down.
This is a story of traitors right here.
Yeah. They deserve to die.
They did not have to die. So there's another castle coming up from
Yes.
Kerfoogle next to the one at home. And I feel like soon we're gonna see Trebs. I like the pikeman switch for Black and Black, because I mean there's the light cav, but I feel like the light cav are for the monks, and then you have the meat of the pikemen that deal with the camels quite well.
Oh boy, those monks didn't get in part of the action. I feel like they could have turned the tide of that battle a little bit more. They're just healing, but they could have converted a lot of knights.
The thing is, I saw like 15 light cav going for the monks, and you can see Byzantine healing in play right here, because the first wave of light cav didn't even touch the monks. They were all there.
Yeah.
Now the second wave comes in, and most of them just drop dead. But for the first part, it was like those light cav was just disappearing.
Yep. And heavy camels come out
And
now.
there's
as
also
well.
heavy camel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of pikemen come in for sure, but I feel as though Kerfoogle's not that worried about pikemen. Maybe he
But
should
we
be,
also
but
see the the production switch to camels for Back in Black, and the castle job next to the tree line in the north.
Oh yeah. Oh here, yeah. Oh wow. And it hasn't been noticed. And there are.
Well, it's about to be.
Yep. There are 29 villages on that wood line. And they're all gonna have to find work elsewhere. This is closed for work. But actually, we're seeing a raid on the farming eco. It's gonna go down, but that is a huge disruption.
Bro, that's basically almost all of Back in Black's food eco that's just idle at the moment.
Yeah. Trebuchet is being produced now, along with two-man saw. And actually, we see light cav coming through the back still, so that is forcing Back in Black's army back home.
Yeah.
Murder holes coming through, so these camels are gonna not be able to continuously attack that castle. The walls are closing in bit by bit, I feel.
Yep, slowly but surely. Kerfoogle also started expanding to multiple woodlines.
Yeah.
Any side of the map, and I feel like those are completely untouched, right? So, and honestly, it's hard to go and do something about it, right? Because you have your main army at home defending, and then, or at home, I should say, downhill next to the castle, and then you probably have some camels left over, but if a raid comes into your farm eco, you have to pull them back home immediately, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really do any raiding with them.
Yeah, I mean, could be a lot of dead villages, but you obviously need those at home. Kerfoogle, I feel, is could be a little too cautious here. I might just go for this castle right away.
Yep, 100%.
That is stables down. Of course, Back in Black has a number of stables elsewhere, so it's not a huge loss. But yeah, I'd be going for this castle.
Yep. We got Silver Python joining Twitch chat. Hello, welcome aboard.
Another regular of the Discord, welcome.
Yep.
And actually, that raid is coming through now for Back in Black, but Kerfoogle was on it. With more upgrades, I should say, as well. So Back in Black has only got one upgrade on attack and defense on his cav, and Kerfoogle has a lot. Two on attack and 3 on defense. So he's going to win these trades, even if they're even in numbers. I mean.
Yeah, that was a very good response, right, from Kerfoogle. It was almost instantaneous. As soon as he saw the camels coming in, he was like, "Nope, you're not allowed to be in here."
And this could be a final blow, I feel, if this castle on the right-hand side goes up next to this other gold. It is completely undefended, I would say, but it might not matter.
Yeah, but then again, the army of Back in Black is full pikemen, and by the time they waddle over all the way to this castle is going to be up. And now that the pikemen were forced away from the TC, where the castle just went down, we already see Hussar in the eco.
Yeah. Yeah, Hussar, Camel, and Castle Control with Byzantines. That's tough, and no access to gold. Again, that gold in the middle next to the pond is still just sitting there, but yeah, the lack of resources is going to play a real role now.
I like the flex that Kerfoogle just pulled off. So he built a castle in the south, and because he lost 1 or 2 monks to that TC while trying to get the relic, he just like, nope, you know what, I'm just gonna build a monastery right here.
Yeah. And yeah, he's building a monk as well.
I feel like this is the game-winning fight.
Yeah. Again, doesn't have the upgrades to really take that fight favorably. Even he had less numbers as well, so.
And there we go, the GG's been called.
The GG. So, I've got to put on the scoreboard actually, that's 1 apiece. And actually, I've got this as a best of 3, so I have to change that because it's best of 5, of course. But love to see it. 1 apiece, so both players on the board.
Yep. 2 games played, one by each player. We have a series on our hands from the get-go.
Love it. And this is exactly what you want to see in a quarterfinal, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I believe we're going for Shoals, would be my guess.
I think game 3 was Shoals, but I also think Back in Black can confirm
Yeah.
or deny any such allegations.
As we get that confirmation, I might just have a quick look at the stats. APM is the one I like to go to a lot. Back in Black, 25 APM. I think your APM is usually a little higher, but I always like to compare myself and where my APM sits to these players who are better than me. I'm kind of like high 20s, low 30s, so I always feel good when I see the APM around that level because it says that I could get good enough to be here. So it's always a good feeling. Economy. See a big economy lead for Back in Black in the mid game there. Just wasn't able to transition that and the transition that earlier Imperial time at that stage. So I feel like he could have been a bit more aggressive during that time with that lead.
We also have Kerfoogle up in chat now. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
GG's for the games. So we're done casting the first 2 games. Acropolis went over to Kerfoogle's side after a very intense back and forth game. And then Rocky Forest was won by Back in Black. With a Goth Knight spam. Castle Age Knight spam. And I think the next game that we have on our hands is going to be Shoals.
Yep. Confirmed by Kerfoogle there.
Yeah, Back in Black is saying that that he thought that if they didn't have bloodlines, the Byzantine camels aren't that good. Well, I think what you're also saying in chat, the upgrades also made a lot of the difference, right? Because it was it was 2 and 3 for Kerfoogle, and then you only had I think the first attack, and I'm not even sure about the armor. So that's definitely playing quite a hand there.
Just got to quickly change this from a best of 3 to a best of 5 if I remember how to do that. There we go. I am sitting in Shoals right now. Are you currently in Shoals?
I am in Shoals, 0-0-0.
Perfect. I'll get it right this
time. Countdown whenever you're ready.
Yes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go.
Perfect.
So my turn to do the introductions. In this one, we're playing on Shoals. We have Back in Black playing as his usual red in the left side of the map, and he's playing as Mongols. And then we have Kerfoogle on the northern side of the map, playing as Portuguese in blue. Once again, I feel like our predictions for between the map sieve and the map draft and the sieve draft were completely wrong.
I agree. I mean, if I'm just thinking of the last map, I think Berbers was still a great pick, but I think Acropolis and Mongols is a perfect combination. So, yeah, curious why Mongols on this map, where it has a water component. Mongols not great on water, I feel. Although I don't exactly know what their tech tree looks like. I just don't consider them a water civ. But then again, we didn't see that many water type civs for Back in Black anyway. So, yeah.
Yep. But then again, it's like we discussed earlier, right? If on this map you decide to focus on water, there is a chance you go out ahead because you have so much food, right? but then again, you lose out on a lot of the gold.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a balance, because if you decide to invest in water and then the other player decides, okay, you know what, I'm gonna just build 2, 3 fishing ships, get some early resources, and then everything else for me is gonna be just like corner of the map farm eco and then go full land. Maybe there's a chance for the land player that you denied the entire gold eco from the other player, right?
And that's what I've seen. As I'll just quickly note that I didn't realize there was so many deer. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deer. So I guess Mongols have a hunt bonus, right? I'm
They
not
do,
crazy
yeah.
there. Yeah. So
No, you're right.
seeing that maybe this isn't as a crazy strategy as I first thought, but yeah, I want to agree because I've seen it quite a few times where I think I said during the drafts, you see a lot of work in feudal to secure water, and then as soon as late feudal and early castle comes along, there's that transition to the side golds and hands off for water. It's not as important at that stage. So, yeah.
Yeah, then again, this is a nice adaptation for this map, right? Because you have so much deer, like you pointed out. So you have so much, let's say, free food that's waiting for you, and they're also relatively close to the TCs, so the push is quite fast. So you can actually do, let's say, early mid-feudal, you can actually run a hybrid comp where you do a bit of land and a bit of water, just because you don't have to prioritize farms, right? You have so much food in addition to a regular, let's say, Arabia game.
Mm. And actually, we see a very pesky deer for Back in Black as it's just running around the TC, not wanting to get in the right position, and a bit of idle time as a result.
Yeah.
But he gets to the mid.
A good
Docks were
Dark
both
Age
close, by the
management
way.
for Kerfoogle with 90% worker efficiency. It looks good.
Yeah, that idle TC idle village has gone down to 66% just because of that deer for Back in Black, and I think he was housed for a second there too. So some inefficiencies coming into play. But yes, we see both docks there, one fishing ship apiece.
I wonder if we're gonna see a water contest. We've seen it last game from Kerfoogle, winning water with the two Byzantine fire galleys, right? I wonder if I wonder if and how far the water contest is gonna happen on this map, because arguably here you actually have a lot more to contest for, right? Not just a small pond in the middle of the map. This is a rather big pond, so.
Well, yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. So Portuguese, I'm a big fan of theirs. As a civ pick, I like to play them quite a lot. But I do always forget they have a gold discount on military units. Does that include at the dock?
That's a very good question that I do not have an answer for.
Yeah.
But maybe chat can help us if anyone knows.
I think it does. So you can save a lot of gold on water as Portuguese. It's not just the Caravel bonus, which comes much later in the game. I think it is a very good naval bonus on maps like this. And Pacific Islands, you see them a lot as well. So, yeah, it's quite a good advantage.
So we have Back in Black in chat confirming that the gold discount applies to all the units, all the military units. So water as well.
Amazing. And
thanks for that.
Thanks, Back in Black.
Including monks. Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, wow. That's a really good bonus. We see Kerfoogle. So obviously Kerfoogle is the more defensive player. We've seen walls in the last game on Acropolis. We're seeing more walls here. It is a harder map to wall. I mean, Acropolis is a hard map to wall, and this is also not the easiest to wall because you've got water in the shallows. You can't wall up to the coast. You kind of have to wall the front of your base as well. So a lot of effort has to go in here with the walls, but he's gone for it
Yep.
nonetheless.
Well, it looks like it's an extended egg wall going all
Yep.
the way to the corner of the map.
That's a lot of wood. That is a really big investment.
That's quite some wood, yeah.
And
But then again, if we look at the egg walls, right? So we have berries, we have wood, which is actually plentiful now on this map.
mhm.
But then again, we only have a bit of gold inside of the walls. So as soon as, let's say, mid feudal comes in, you have to already extend outside of the walls, right?
Yep. Definitely. That is a huge concern. And, you know, the other two pile of gold to the right there is not in the walls. Could potentially be included, but then the walls would be even bigger. So, yeah, tough one. It could be one of those cases of delete the walls and put the TC where the walls are in castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for the meantime, it's going to work out because Back in Black has gone heavy into scouts. And if they
Well, we
don't
see
get
a
in,
fast castle approach from Kerfoogle.
yeah,
Blacksmith Market, fast castle.
yeah,
So in this case, I completely support the walls, right? Because you know you're going fast castle. You know you're not gonna have any eco for supporting military. So in this case, I think the walls are okay because exactly like you mentioned, once you're up to castle, you have the eco to just drop 1 or 2 TCs, and then okay, you have feudal scouts, but then you can deal with those with TC fire, right?
yep, 100%. I find Shoals definitely drop another TC on that goal on the right. I feel, but it's definitely not a 3 TC boom kind of game because you need the map control to go to the sides. I'd go for the second TC, but leave it at that. I feel once getting up to castle.
Well, then again, there's also the question: do you build the barracks on the way up, right? Because you know that you're gonna have scout pressure, and in order to build a TC, you need to somehow defend that build. And now, because of Black and Black's pressure, we see Kerfoogle actually double walling exactly the part of the map that he actually at some point needs to extend towards for that bit of gold, right?
Yeah, and just thought I'd mention throughout all of this, we see 0 water pressure. Oh, as I say that, we see some fire galleys from Kerfoogle.
They heard you again.
They heard me again. Guys, we're doing this cast delayed, so there's absolutely no chance. But but yes, the castle age has come in for Kerfoogle, so we'll see what he wants to do with this. Whether it's an eco play or if it's Night Rush. Obviously, Portuguese Night Rush is underrated, I feel, because of, again, that gold discount. So we'll see how he wants to play it. Nope, that wall's been deleted. He's going out to create that TC. Yeah.
That's a good TC placement too.
Yeah.
You have a lot of gold. You have a lot of wood for it. You have gold, and you still have a lot of space in your initial TC for farm, so you don't really care about that immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a wall here? No, I thought there was a hole in the tree line on the north side of the map for Kerfoogle, but there wasn't.
Yeah, I'm a player that always plays with big trees on. I know it puts me at a disadvantage on a map like this, especially when there's 1 or 2 gaps between trees. But I can't stand playing with small trees. I think it looks terrible, so I never do.
To be fair, for me, I use when I play, I use the mod for the, let's say I always forget the name of it, the one that makes all the trees look the same, the small trees.
Yeah.
But on Capture Age, when casting, I actually have a preference of keeping the, let's say, the texture packs of the game as they are, because there's just so much diversity that the devs put into it, right?
Yeah.
So especially now, if you've seen the new patch, they're even adding like more animals and more types of trees, and I'm so looking forward to all the like cherry blossoms and stuff that they're adding.
I know.
So I'm so looking forward to casting some games on the new patch.
All of the cosmetics, obviously the castle and the units are the ones that are going to get to shine. A unique castle for every civ, but yeah, just the level of detail that they put into it, and it's free. I mean, that's unheard of in 2025 to give
I know,
all of
right?
this
I know.
content for free. Just huge shout
Yeah,
out to them. They're amazing.
yeah. So we see an actual pretty good adaptation here for Back in Black, I feel like. So because you have fire pressure, but you have the tower, the sea tower defending you, which is actually quite strong against the fire galleys.
Hmm.
Instead of venturing out for the fish and having your fishing ships blown up, you transition into fish traps. So you have
Yep.
a little bit of a fish boom. Well, fish boom is probably not the right sort of word for it, but you have a little bit of food income additional to what you're already doing. And a fish trap is actually a pretty good investment because you get what 700, 750 food
Yep.
for 100 wood, and wood on this map is plentiful.
Yeah. I mean, use those. Make sure you use all the economy you got. It's a game of small margins, isn't it? The three fishing
Yeah.
ships could really pay off. But you know, speaking on the other side, feeling as though that Back in Black has given up trying to contest water, I might even invest in more fishing ships for Kerfoogle, and kind of really get that economy lead.
Yeah, I agree, especially since you already have a fire galley lead, right? So you have a way of defending. Then again, knowing that nothing's coming your way,
Yeah.
you could see the prioritization of resources going towards land, because if you know that the opponents are contesting water, then you know that he's probably gonna have the upper hand on land, at least in the initial stages of the castle age.
Definitely,
And we
and
actually see this already with the step lancers coming in, triple stable step lancer production.
it'll be interesting to see if he can get this TC up. He hasn't got that wall down, so he's trying to do
Oh,
the
that was
wall, and this
there was a
TC is
bit
not
of a
going to go
gap
up.
there.
Yeah. He's going to
Well,
have
let's
to.
see. There's got a lot of spears there, so if Back in Black prioritizes villagers, then the TC is not gonna go up. But there is actually one villager that managed to quick wall, so there is a chance that the TC is actually gonna end up going up.
Oh, and actually, there's still one villager left, but that other villager went down, and there's a gap. Oh, is there a
No,
gap?
there isn't. No.
Hmm. Was it the range? Maybe it was the range of the step lancers that got him
Yeah,
through
I
a
think it was
wall
the
or something.
range. So now the steppies are just gonna hit the town center.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's actually not a bad thing to do, right? Because it's not like you have a lot of other things to do with the step lancers. You know
Nah.
your opponent's fully walled. You know you're not gonna be able to take the Vil out, and the town center is not gonna do anything to you, right? So even if it goes up, you still have time to take it down, especially with the step lancers attack.
True. And the villager is going to die as the town center goes up. That's an interesting
That's the
interaction.
reward for a good deed, right?
Yeah. Somehow,
Congratulations, you've built your building. It's your time on Earth is spent now.
when you're building the building, the path is blocked, and when the building is built, the path is not blocked. Just Age of
Yeah,
Empires
yeah.
logic.
Well, I feel like the town center is the only building that does that, right?
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of. Oh, that TC actually produced a Vil before it went down. That's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
He has got walls on this right hand side, but he's lost the prospect of getting that gold. And Back in Black is getting villagers to walk over to the left hand side. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's definitely got the advantage on land, and there's just nothing really to contest on water for Kerfoogle, even though he's won water. So
I also see the upgrade for the fire ship coming in, right? I feel like again that's a bit of an overinvestment on water, especially knowing that your opponent isn't actually going for it.
yep. Defensive castle, and some house walls to defend from these step lancers coming in. Has he defended it all? Yes, he has.
Yep.
So well played. We do see, obviously.
then again-
Yeah, go ahead.
But then again, with those numbers, Back in Black can easily just circle around,
Yeah.
destroy a palisade on a house, and just enter in the other way, right?
Yeah. But again, a classic Back in Black strategy is to do the rush in Castle Age with overwhelming mass of units, and Kerfoogle being the more defensive player to try and go for a bit of a boom. So if Kerfoogle can hold here, it's advantage to him, but if they get in, then yeah, it's going to be a real problem.
Yeah.
And they're in.
Yeah.
So,
And they're in.
yeah. And
Let's see how well the pikes do against the steppies.
well, pikes are obviously got the advantage against Cav, but they're not that good of a counter because of the range. You can kind of focus them down a bit easier.
Yeah, yeah.
In
They
organ
waddled
guns,
them down to around 9, but I feel like organ guns are probably not a bad solution here because the latest change that they got was to be better against, let's say, less armored units. But I don't know if steppies count as that because I feel like they're probably not, and we see those organ guns just tearing through the steppies.
yeah. So a lot of step lancers did go down. With Castle and TC Fire focusing them down along with the organ guns, I would have maybe just focused on the wood, the food and the gold on the left. I think most importantly the gold on the left, considering Kerfoogle doesn't have any gold in one of these piles on the left and right.
Yep.
I think it's all about this gold and keeping them off this gold. Although it's not much gold, if I'm being honest, it's about 300 gold.
Well, then again, Kerfoogle still has about 900 gold next to his TC on the right, where the step lancers are trying to get in. But again, it's 900 gold there, and then there's 400 gold here. That's definitely not a lot. So
No.
at some point soon, Kerfoogle is gonna have to start expanding towards the right side. Then again, Back in Black didn't really leave any units there, right, or an outpost or anything. So in principle, of course, we have the benefit of seeing this, but in principle, yeah, and we see Kerfoogle now trying to go for it, right? Unfortunately, there's a step lancer going right there.
This is very risky if he notices this, and it would seem as though he hasn't noticed it, so he might get away
It
with
looks
it.
like he hasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel even though a lot of damage was done, no doubt, with the step lancers, they are all dead. So it does leave the opportunity to push out as Kerfoogle has done. So I feel as though you can choke out this map, knowing that he isn't on the left side because you're there, and just preventing anything from happening on the right hand side. You've got the advantage, but Back in Black is going to do a different kind of aggression now with a castle right in the base, or right on the outskirts of the base of Kerfoogle.
Then again, you also just have to wonder, what is this castle achieving? It denies some stone. It maybe denies one farm, but the gold is untouched. And the gold on the right, Kerfoogle's already building a TC. He's already built a TC and he's building his own castle over there.
Yeah.
So the entire initial aggression that managed to deny this entire gold from here now is completely void of value.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if that castle was put on that right-hand side gold, the game would be over. I think if this TC and castle didn't go up.
Yep.
But there is a lot of farming eco to raid, 100% in this base.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely things to do.
Yeah.
And also, Kerfoogle has unrestricted access to water now, so there's a bit of fishing eco that's helping out.
Yeah. Again, I do never see players build extra docks and more fishing ships on this map. I guess because the game just does transition so heavily onto land, yet you can't necessarily justify all the resources. I totally get it, but yeah, I just wonder.
Yeah,
if that's
plus I
strategy.
see the other downside as well, where you build more docks, but all of the docks you have are very easily accessible to the enemy land units.
Hmm.
So it's somewhat risky, right, to invest so much on water, especially exactly as you say. It doesn't really pan out in the future of your strategy.
Yeah, very true. Um, so in terms of army, we've got 14. Is that 14 organ guns? Yeah, but they're on this left-hand side, so they're not in this home base to defend this.
Yeah.
I almost wonder these organ guns should either be going closer to Back in Black's base or coming back to this home base, one or the other, because they're not doing anything here right now.
Yeah, I agree. I would send them forward. So you have the siege workshops, you have a couple of mangonels. At this point, go for it. I mean, you're gonna find the castle when you get there because of maybe Kerfoogle doesn't have the vision that we have. But at the same time, just try it. And we see him going forward now with the whole army.
Yeah. And you can loop around the front here as well. So you can, their castle is a very well positioned castle, but you can still avoid it.
Yeah. Plus, there is even a small hole in Back in Black's wall, where actually there's a lot of holes. So you could actually argue just coming straight into the eco on the left hand side.
Yeah. And I think this is a classic for Back in Black and it works out very well for him that he's so aggressive. He just leaves his base wide open. I feel as though, and I shouldn't be saying this with Back in Black in the chat, but it is something that can be taken advantage of if any other players end up watching this. That if you have some kind of scout raid or, light cavalry, raid in these ages, it can do a lot of damage and kind of neutralize the aggression as he has to come back to deal with the raids. I think I said in the last game as well, but that's how I usually kind of deal with an all-out aggression is take the aggression to the other side of the map.
Yep. The best defense is a good offense, right?
Exactly. But yeah, this castle has not done that much considering we've just seen another layer of walls put up and they're stone walls, going to be very hard to get through, and farming eco barely touched, and most importantly we've got gold on the right flying ahead, so it's turning out to be quite an even match. I would say I think it could go either way, I believe.
Yeah. We see Back in Black starting to trap the castle in Kerfoogle's home base, which is an interesting thing, right? Because if that castle goes down, you're quite exposed back home.
Yep.
But then again, at the same time, we see Kerfoogle coming in the south with this army of mangonels and organ guns, and he's about to find the castle.
Yep. And slowly but surely, he could have gone there a long time ago. But chemistry coming in for Kerfoogle, so even though these trebs are coming out, we could see bombard cannons as a response. And we see a lot of barracks and halberdier upgrade coming in. So it could be quite a good combo, along with organ guns mixed in if he produces more at home.
So we have 2 dead mangonels on the side of Kerfoogle. No, 1 survived. Oh no, the step lancer was a hero. Okay.
but a trip. A trip
gave its last breath. Yeah, but there's a trip here, so that castle is not long for the world either. There's a lot of skirms coming up on the north side of the map.
Yeah.
And that's a decent counter against helms.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the helm numbers, those skirms are not going to be enough.
No.
So now I think it's a base trade situation where it's a matter of who pushes fastest, right?
Yep, and I think both players could be in trouble. I mean, could we even see, if he continues with this skirmisher play, could we even see champion? I know we don't see champion much, and it's a big investment, and it could be overreaction on my part too, but it could be a possibility.
Well, no, I mean, it could be a possibility. I agree. I wonder if instead of champion, some light cap would probably be better because they're cheaper.
Yep.
And they're, let's say you get to them a lot faster, right? Because it's only one upgrade. And I see that Kerfoogle already has the upgrade.
Does he have stables? I see a lot of barracks.
That's a good question.
He's got stables on the offensive actually, not at home.
True.
But yeah, these 4 treb for Back in Black aren't able to do anything yet, but they are looming. Economy has moved elsewhere though, so immediate damage isn't to be found there. And we're seeing evacuation for Back in Black from his home base as well. So both players deciding to go elsewhere.
So we see siege workshops from Back in Black next to Kerfoogle's base. I wonder if we're gonna see mangonels for the helps. Or scorps. Oh, heavy scorpion on the way.
I think we should see. I think bombard cannon would be huge here for Kerfoogle, for trebs and any other kind of siege.
Oh, and we see kind of cannon galleons coming from Kerfoogle. And considering the placement of that castle on the shore, cannon galleons is a great play.
That's a lot of people off farms for Back in Black. Whereas I feel Kerfoogle has transitioned a little while ago to the farms in that far right corner. I do feel, so this happens quite a lot on shoals, whereas I feel like you're chasing the enemy around the map, and whoever can progress further or quicker wins the game. I see quite often that both players lose their home base, and it's whoever goes around the quickest.
Yeah, and we also see an adaptation from Kerfoogle now with these 5 light cav that are roaming around. He tried to preempt the migration of the economy and tried to kill some vills with them. Unfortunately, all he found was some castles.
Yeah. Already gone. Cannon galleons on the castle up north, and I think these cannon galleons are going to go to the one on the left as well. This has a lot of units coming in. We're going to see a castle dropped on farming eco that is not being worked by Kerfoogle, so I feel like that castle, that stone could either be sold because of the lack of gold for Back in Black, or put somewhere else.
Yeah, especially with the light cav in Back in Black's gold eco, this is a pretty tough blow to him.
Yeah. Gonna see another defensive castle for Kerfoogle, just slow this push down. But Back in Black does have the army numbers there. These light cav raids are just brutal though. If he gets more back there, then that's going to be real tough to come back from.
Yeah. I mean, eco KD is already double for Kerfoogle, right?
True. And a couple scorpions go down there from the castle fight as well. And we are actually seeing the bombard cannons come in too, so they can focus on that castle.
I wonder where the bombard cannons are being produced though, because I feel like they're not being produced on the gold. So that must mean they're being produced at home.
There's one back here just in front of the castle, it must be that one, but none are being produced right now.
Yeah.
But there are 5.
Kerfoogle has 5 of them somewhere on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. They're actually under the castle next to the farming eco.
And Back in Black's had to bring his knights back to deal with these light cavalries, but both of these castles have gone down in the meantime. Well, this one about to go down. So I feel like Kerfoogle's slowly regaining control of the map, and bombard cannons against both scorpions and trebuchets is amazing, and a lot of this is going to go down.
Well, the Scorpions were I think were a good decision against the Helves, but now the Helves got in close.
Yeah.
Plus the bombard cannons, those trebs are also gonna go down.
See,
And then-
yeah.
Yeah, there we go. The GG is being called by Back in Black.
Yeah, and that was from that fight on the left-hand side with Portuguese organ guns against knights with some helps. Didn't go in
Yeah.
Back in Black's favour, so that economy is exposed and the GG is called. So
Yeah.
that's 2-1 in favour of Kerfoogle. Amazing stuff.
This is a great series. This is so back and forth and so balanced. This is amazing with a lot
Yeah.
of decisions, a lot of adaptations. I'm loving this set.
It's really good. Both really high
Yeah.
play by both players, who are really stepping up to the quarterfinal challenge and making it a close one. So well done to both so far.
Yeah.
Actually, do we have? I need to download some more maps, I think, to see what the next one is.
I think Cross was next, right? If I'm not wrong.
Oh yeah, did I put that one in already? I think I might have.
Yeah, so Cross is next, and I think I need to download Zong as well. Let's see.
Yes, I still need to download Cross, it seems.
Yeah, so Cross is next, and then I need to download Zong as well.
Cool, I will also do that. And song.
Okay, I think I'll go on a 2-minute break.
Yep, that's perfect.
And if that's okay with you as well, and then yeah, see you in a second.
Awesome. See you soon. Alright, just as we get Liv back in here, thanks for joining us. This is a really close set between Kerfoogle and Back in Black. Really bringing it, both players. So this is great to see. Brick Bracket bringing it again. And I feel both players are playing amazing, but I feel like in that last match, Kerfoogle has seen the Step Lancer rush. He's seen a Berber Knight rush. And before that he saw a Goth Knight rush. So he knows that Knights are going to be coming, regardless of map, regardless of Civ. So he might start be getting into a rhythm right now with what to expect from Back in Black. So it'll be interesting to see how Back in Black also responds. Does he change it up? Does he double down? What would be the tactic here for Back in Black? Persians though, great Knight Civ. Cross as well as the next map. So a hybrid map, but a chaotic one. I feel as though if you overinvest in water on Cross, you can get overwhelmed on land. So just how that is dealt with. I see maybe a potential Kerfoogle to overinvest in water and get overwhelmed on land. It's a possibility, but he should be expecting Knights. I'll take a second out and praise the lovely work of a joint combo between me and my wife. Me and my wife produced these thumbnails. It was Back in Black's idea to give him the guitar as well as the Back in Black shirt. It was my wife's idea for Kerfoogle to have a Google shirt, take the G away and put the extra Google letters on there for Kerfoogle. I've given him the Google Watch, I've given him the Google phone, so you'll see some extra additions into the thumbnails as we go along further into the competition. And then of course you got to have the bright lights, the Broadway lights for the quarterfinals. This is not group stage anymore. This is quarterfinals. You got to have a bit of glam put in there.
I completely agree, and I love the thumbnail.
I've been having so much fun with these thumbnails. I thought, let's get some villagers in there. Let's muck them around with some things, and I feel like Age of Empires players, they always have a great name that you can always work with. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yep. Creative community known as.
Yeah. So I know there's some other matches going on with the other brackets right now, but Grape Juice, who was here earlier in the chat, he's playing against Lemon Toaster. So I'm like, how did I not get Grape Juice versus Lemon Toaster for my thumbnail? Because that would be incredible. Yeah. Yes. So are you ready to go, are you?
Yep, ready to go. I'm loaded in on second 0, waiting for your go.
Perfect. Let me just get all set up. Let's see if it's all checked. I've been through many disasters where I haven't shared the game screen and just started casting, and it's you feel so bad when it happens.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's all good to go.
Me last game.
Oh really? Oh yeah, it happens.
Yeah, first few seconds, Back in Black told me in chat that I'm not sharing the game screen.
It happens. Oh, well, I've done it for much longer than that. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, start.
Let's see what we've got. Take it away.
Yes, so we've got Back in Black and Persians. What do you know? Another Knight Civ, great Knight Civ. So expecting more Knights. But we do have Malians, and they're great against Knights. There's Camels. If you can get to late game, get Farimba Camels. I feel like that directly counters Knights and what Persians can throw at you. So if we can get to late game, that's great for Kerfoogle. But Cross, not necessarily a map that plays late. There's a lot of early aggression, a lot of chaos, I feel. So we'll see if we get there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see the approach to water on this map, right? Because it's always a a mix of decisions that can be taken because you have for one um going to your own, let's say, corner lakes, and then you have some fish. But then if you want to be extra spicy, you go dock your opponent's spawns, and maybe he does the same to you.
Yep.
So looking at the set so far, I don't expect to have so much water contest, but I mean at the same time you never really know, right?
Yep. I mean, seeing how Shoals was played, with not that much water focus, we might see the same again. But having said that, Kerfoogle with the Malians, I think they're really well set up on a hybrid map with their
Yeah.
buildings costing less wood. You can really take advantage of that with quicker dock times, and obviously fishing ships cost a lot of wood too. So I think Malians is a great choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree.
Having said that, Persian's also a great choice because their docks work faster, as well as their TC. So you can really rack up a eco advantage with them. So I really like both of these civs on this map.
Yeah, plus Persian dogs, double hit points, right? So
True. That water contest with Persian docks is very, very annoying when you think you've won water, but it takes forever to take up those docks, and then more ships come out. You're like, oh, I thought I dealt with this, and then
I
no.
I remember way too vividly than I'd like to admit, but I remember that time when one of the meta clown strategies was a Persian TC douche, where you would
Oh,
delete your TC, take like more than half of your vills forward, and just drop a TC on the enemy's face.
yep.
That was that was not a fun time to be alive. I hated that strat.
Well, I must have missed something because I used to see that like constantly, all the time, and now you don't see it anymore, even on the rank ladder. And so, if you could enlighten me, what has been the balance change that has kind of done away with that? Do you know?
I'm not actually entirely sure, but I think the first well, I think one of the things that definitely changed is that Persians are now a lot better mid to late game.
Mm.
Um, they actually have a useful unique unit as before. I mean, the chunky boys before were good, but incredibly situational. Now
Yep.
they're still situational, but they're so much better.
Mm.
So I'm not actually entirely sure if there was one change to pinpoint anything, but at some point it just kind of stopped, right? It just kind of froze in the water after the introduction of the new Persians, and then the next balance change after that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree, but well, is it against the? Is it in the handbook? Perhaps maybe that's why we're not seeing it in competition as well. But even on the ranked ladder, I don't see it anymore. But
Yeah.
then again, that might be when elos go up, you see these people are able to respond to the douche a lot better. You don't see it as much on higher elo. And
Yeah.
when I say high elo, I'm not saying high elo because I'm 1100. But when you get sub 1,000, that's when those strategies really become effective because you get players that go, how do I deal with this? I have no idea. So maybe
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
that.
I mean, it's the same. It's exactly the same with the dungeon rush, right? When sergeants first appeared, when Sicilians first were introduced, that dungeon rush was absolutely overpowered, and it's been nerfed a couple of times, but there are a lot of people still doing it, and not
Yeah.
necessarily in high ranked elo, but in community games or even in, let's say, mid elo, there's a lot of people still doing that, and it still works because it's all about the way you react to it. It's less about how capable sergeants are per se or dungeons. It's more about how well the opponent reacts, and if the opponent doesn't react well enough, then you still win, even if it's not, let's say, meta anymore.
Yep. Yep. And should shout out here the tactical tea time who does a lot of casting and was playing in the tournament this time around as well. That's his specialty. He does a donjon rush. He gets Sicilians banned against him every single time because people know that's exactly what he wants to do. which is sad because I would love to see him do it more. Um, that being a specialty, but yes, whenever Sicilian Don John Rush gets mentioned, have to shout out Tactical T-Time. But yes, we're seeing more walls here for Kerfoogle, so this is what we've come to expect. And I don't hate it on Cross, but it is again a wood investment when you need the wood for the docks, you need the wood for the fishing ships. But if there's one civ that you can do it on, it is Malians with the cheaper buildings. But having said that, he is behind in fishing ships right now, so the walls could be playing a factor there.
Yeah, then again, he is behind in fishing ships, but he does have some wood banked, right? So he's probably angling on some sort of feudal play. We see the barracks going up just now, but I don't see. Oh, there we go. The stable is being dropped just now by Kerfoogle.
Yep.
And there's already a stable producing scouts on Back in Black side.
Yep. So what do you know? Double stable. Haven't seen that. No, we've seen it every single game, guys. Especially on Back in Black, so he loves the double stable, and it works out for him a lot of the time. But we're not seeing any extra lakes just yet, or any kind of around the back contest the opponent's lake play. So we won't see that probably, and lakes might not be super important.
Well, we'll see what happens with the lakes in the future, right? Because the fishing ships are efficient, but then if you look at the deep fish, some of them are really far away, and I think it's kind of the same generation for both players in the ponds that they've chosen, because there's five deep fish that's really far away for Back in Black, and then there's five that are really far away or four rather that are really far away for Kerfoogle. So at some point, I think the question becomes, okay, when do fishing ships become way too inefficient? And maybe is it worth moving into either docking another pond or making use of the already existing infrastructure, kind of walling a bit of the forests around it, and just setting up a fish truck, fish boom in one of the ponds?
Yeah. I think fish traps is one thing that can work on this map, especially, but I think it might work for Back in Black because I feel like he's closer to his lake, at least the one that he's chosen. It's interesting Kerfoogle chose the lake further away from his TC, but the TC and the lake for Back in Black might lend itself to that for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's a very risky play, right? Because if at some point you lose your fish boom, you've invested a lot of resources into it. You invest fishing upgrades into it as well, and if you lose it, that's a really that's a really heavy blow. But if you somehow manage to center expand your economy mid-late Castle Age towards that corner, and kind of somehow make sure that you conceal, or rather you defend the corner where your fish dock is in. I mean, fishing eco is the most efficient food source at the moment in the game, right?
Yeah.
Because fishing ships don't need to travel. And as I say this, we see Kerfoogle docking Back in Black's pond. So any dreams of fish boom are out of the window.
How did I not see this village? I said we're not seeing any villagers go around the back, and yet there is a villager around the back. So
same, it just appeared here. I don't know. It was a ninja.
And there's 4 fishing ships back here, so it's not a mega fish boom. You know, you can get up to maybe 6 fishing ships, so we don't see it to that extent. But getting rid of 4 fishing ships is still pretty significant.
Yeah, and right away the fire galley is starting to be produced. And now the scout, after the dock is up, now the scout gets off sand ground. That's unfortunate.
You know what, the villager has
but also
the
scout is gonna... Yeah, the scout's losing this fight.
That's hilarious.
That's a hero villager right there.
Also
great reaction by Kerfoogle to identify the hill.
Yeah. So what other mischief can this villager get up to? Like you said in one of the previous games, I love just having a 1 villager tower in a really annoying spot, and then kind of walling it in with houses and see how the enemy reacts to that, can be quite annoying.
Yep. Yep.
And we actually see a dock on this other side, on the northern side for Back in Black, who is only just realizing that the fire ship is in his home pond right now.
Yeah.
Spearman coming
It's
over.
unfortunate though that the fire ship is not targeting the fish at the moment, because
Yes.
that's a lot of free food that Back in Black can get with a fire ship in this pond, right?
Yep. 100%, and it does leave the door open for contesting these fire ships, but we're not going to see that from Back in Black, I believe.
No.
Second fire ship out though is going to get those fish.
Yep. Back in Black, scouts were also decimated by the spearmen, like you were saying.
Yep.
One sole survivor it went back to its original duty of scouting the map.
Yep.
There's not much of a difference in castle age timing, 30 seconds, and also resources collected is 1,000 resources up for Back in Black.
Yeah. That's an economy bonus for Persians. Like, it's just so
Yep.
good with the extra
Yep.
villages. And we see 3 stables, and what do you know? Knights being produced in every single one. So,
There's
yeah, Kerfoogle has seen this before, but as soon as these
let's see what
scouts...
these scouts can do, because these
Yeah.
scouts are in the gold eco, and the gold eco is really important for knight spams.
I feel like the Knights have come out just at the right time, especially
Yep.
it being one of the stables being right next to that gold.
Yep. And it's light cav as well for Kerfoogle.
Yeah.
Spearmen also go down, so now, and naturally Kerfoogle sees knights and he says, okay, you know what? I know what's coming. Malian camels.
Yeah. I think, again, not wanting to cramp Back in Black style, but you've got to have some camel sieves in here if you're going into this matchup because of the preference for knights.
Yep.
Oh, and TC going up down here next to this gold for Kerfoogle. If it is scouted, no, the knights are going to try and go for this gate instead. But that could have been a bit dicey if he had seen it.
But this game, as opposed to the other games, we see the camel transition from Back in Black coming much sooner. I think that's a good adaptation, right? Because camels v camels are definitely better than knights versus camels.
Yeah.
But then again, I wonder if we're gonna also see some sort of spearmen mixed in, because, I mean, camels are good against camels, but I'm not entirely sure. I think Persian camels probably have the upper hand against Malian camels up until Farimba. Once you have Farimba, Persian camels just disappear.
100%, and we see another defensive castle. I maybe would like to see this a little bit forward to protect this gold just a little bit more.
Yep.
But defensive castle tells me, unique unit or unique tech. So I'm expecting Farimba to be a priority. Now, I do forget, is Farimba in Imperial or Castle? I do know.
It's Imperial.
Imperial,
That's actually
yeah.
what I was looking on just now.
Yeah. Underrated time to time is the Gebetto for raiding. So you could see, camel on camel, and then some Gebetto around the back in the economy. It's always something to look out for.
Then again, I think Gebettos are quite decent against camels as well, so
True.
you could also, I'm not entirely sure if, well, maybe there is a chance of seeing, because if you have on Back in Black side, if you go into camel pikes, then if you go camel Gebettos, you kind of come out on top of that.
Yep. Yeah, as long as you keep them away. If you can keep the Gebettos safe, because they got very low hit points,
Yeah.
then you're laughing. But we see a good hold here from Kerfoogle. I was a bit worried for him there, but did that nice house wall.
And instantly closes the gap with a stone gate this time around.
That's nice.
And extends the stone walls as well.
And yeah, this Back in Black is overwhelmed with military, and if you can hold them off, then you can get an advantage that way. So unless we see a castle drop, I still think this gold here is exposed. For a castle drop potentially. So we could see that, and we do see enough stone available. But we're going to see some scouting, see what's available to raid, but comes against another house wall. But that could go down pretty quick.
But I like the split approach, right? So split your army into two, hit two houses at once, because this way you're forcing either a double repair or a double building response, right? So there's not going to be enough time for this wall to go up.
Definitely not. Yep, this hurt.
There we go. Oh, that was...
Oh,
that was clutch.
oh wow. They're not
But
hurt.
you still have the second house.
Yeah.
I feel like Back in Black shouldn't have stopped attacking the second house.
We see some real...
but he's probably gonna be in anyway.
Oh, he's
he's in anyway.
Just some unfortunate villager placement prevented it. But he's going to potentially retreat. No, he's thinking better of it. He's going to try and get through, but he's going to get met by some more walls. Palisade.
This game.
Yeah, it must be very frustrating. But we are only on two stables for Kerfoogle. So production in favour of Back in Black for sure. Back in Black.
There's also the fact that they can take into account that Back in Black's production is very far away, right?
Yes.
So reinforcing is quite fast for Kerfoogle.
True.
And now this entire army is trapped.
Yep, it certainly is. And this could be a cleanup for Kerfoogle, as Imperial is coming in for both players actually.
I like the way this game is going. We have quite an open map still. There's no there's no areas that are kind of like forced off from either player. Kerfoogle is gonna have, after this fight, is gonna have the advantage in military thanks to that ingenious trap that he built up.
Yes. And we should say as well.
Black is taking pikemen, so.
Should say as well, Kerfoogle 2-1 up, so this is a best of 5. It's not a play-all fight, but it's a quarter-final. So should say that if Kerfoogle wins this, he does win the set. Something important to note.
Yeah, just a little bit of added pressure for Back in Black, right?
Definitely. But yeah, we did see that defensive castle rather than aggressive castle go up for Back in Black. So missed opportunity potentially for that forward gold to be denied. But look at that economy. The farming economy for Back in Black is 42 farms. That's just absolutely flying.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do when your base is unchallenged. You can get
absolutely.
that really good economy.
We also see a 30C coming in on the gold, and at the same time we see Gebettos from Kerfoogle. So as you mentioned earlier, we might see some raids with Gebettos, especially since these things are really adept at taking down bills.
They're not affected by ballistics or anything, are they?
No, they're not.
No.
I think they're in the same boat as Frank Axtors,
Gotcha.
where their attack is actually a melee attack, if I'm not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I might be wrong here, though.
No, it's definitely melee. Yep. They could snipe these fishing ships as well. Although
exactly.
Back in Black is still got some fish at the top, away from the dock.
There's also this little 23 foot of box turtles remaining next to Back in Black's dock that are swimming around there waiting to be fished.
I always find the box turtles so sad. It's like, oh, the one thing that shouldn't be harvested are those turtles.
Yeah, leave the turtles be.
Yeah.
Save the turtles.
I should. I've got a bad confession to make actually. So, I did a lot of work in Fiji, where I had to go out to lots of Fijian villages and interview people and get to know the people. And unfortunately, one of the things that they like to serve you as a villager, not as a villager, as a guest, is turtle. So. You never decline any food from a local chief or anything like that, so you have to eat it. And
yeah.
Can I tell you, it is, as guilty as I was for eating it, it was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, I've heard that. I was on a holiday trip recently that one of the advice that I got was if you're offered turtle meat as food, be extra careful of where it is cooked, because it turns out that a lot of turtle species actually have some sort of toxin developed in their meat. So apparently people have to be really careful when choosing what kind of turtle meat gets eaten. But if I remember correctly, nowadays they're quite some of the or rather most of the species of turtle are endangered, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and there is a ban on harvesting turtles in Fiji, but if you are from a village and you can prove that you've lived there and you've got heritage there and your family's been fishing there for generations, then you are allowed to harvest them, a certain amount anyway. So
I see.
Anyway, we should get back to the game.
We should probably get back to our camels, yeah.
Yeah.
We see a castle drop in the middle of the map on the gold for Back in Black, and a couple of Gubero sniping villagers. But at the same time, we see a difference in pop, right? We see Back in Black up to almost 160 pop.
Yep.
And then Kerfoogle only at 120.
Yep, and I don't know how this battle's going to go for Kerfoogle here. As I quickly click on a camel, and it does seem as though his research perimeter was a +7 attack, so there are halberdiers in here though to potentially counter camels.
Yep.
It seems quite close actually, and the Gebetos are great.
Looks like it looks like the halberdiers made the difference.
Yeah. But I think it's a good enough hold. He is losing a bit of map control for sure. And we see more stables for Back in Black. So he's gonna.
Yeah, this forward stable production is a good move.
Definitely. And the halberdiers are also swarming through like ants from the back of the base.
We also see Back in Black keeping relatively up to date with updates. He's only missing the last attack upgrade for melee.
Yes, indeed, and we should expect trebuchets. Yes, trebuchets are being produced from those castles, so unless Kerfoogle can catch up here in military, this could be a bit of a push, and as these Gebetos are being thrown to these camels as well.
So Kerfoogle is building archery ranges back home. I wonder if these are for skirms or archers.
Where is this?
Right next to the, right under the castle.
Yep.
I almost didn't spot him as well.
Yeah.
He's also running out of real estate. We can see next to the pond in the south side of the map that he's deleted a wall.
Yep.
Goes out for the gold.
That's going to be exposed. And this fight.
I see a big fight now.
Yeah. And I just feel like he hasn't got the composition to deal with the halberdiers. He needed to save those Gebeto. I feel like they've been focused down really well by Back in Black. you need the Gabetto there to deal with the Halberdier.
Mm.
Yep.
And the tribs are coming into play now, starting to trip the castle down.
Yep.
There is a secondary TC in castle to the right for Kerfoogle, but I feel like if this castle back home goes down, you're in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, all the economies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in black space, even though it's not threatened, is much more spread across. Maybe the farming eco is a bit centralized, but it's not in threat, so it's not an issue.
Yep.
Treb's coming out here.
To try and trap down the... But I feel like this castle, well, with all the repairs, maybe this castle's gonna stay up.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's going down. But one of those trebs was taken out, so now it's only two trebs.
But Kerfoogle was also running out of stone very fast, so
Yeah.
I don't think he can keep up this repair for long.
And there
As
we
he's
go.
starting to send Gabettos from the secondary castle in Back in Black's economy.
Which is nice, but it could be a little too late. And that castle is down.
Yeah.
And the Halberdiers are also through, so hand cannoneer coming out, so that's an adaptation there, but that's what those archery ranges are for, is for hand cannoneer.
Yep.
So if he can get the numbers, that could be pretty big. So I'm not
Yep.
quite ruling him out, but he doesn't have the numbers, and those camels are running straight into that wall of Halberdier.
And that castle is not in a great position.
No. Yeah.
I think we're gonna see the GG call here in a bit.
I agree. The camels into the Halberdier was, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. The castle gets denied as well. And I feel like next up, 4 trebs, I feel like the next up is the TC.
Yeah. And that's the only thing stopping Back in Black from the rest of the economy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, look at the population difference. Back in Black
Oh,
is at
wow.
200.
Yeah.
Kerfoogle is at under 100.
But you know, it
Campbell's
is
in the eco as well.
It is quarterfinals. Both these players want it. They'll do everything, exhaust all options to make sure that they gave it their all. Could be the last set that these players play, so why not go a little bit longer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we like them going longer, so I have no comments there.
Yeah.
I see another castle in the back from Kerfoogle.
Yeah.
But I really have to wonder what this achieves, right? Because you don't have murder holes, you have 4 trebs in your base, or 3 trebs in your base, but then again, he's running out of options. He doesn't really have anything else he can do.
No. It's definitely a sitting duck castle, and yep, there goes the GG. So wow, that's 2-2. The next game
This is a
for all the marbles.
very intense and a very close together set.
100%, and contrasting styles as well. They're doing it in different ways. One, Back in Black, very aggressive, Kerfoogle very defensive, and they're both picking up wins, so that's incredible.
So Kerfoogle's in chat saying, "I'll be honest, my first ever game of Malians, but just got clapped by them in ranked, so wanted to try." I respect that. I respect that.
You mean you've got to bring in a civ that you've never played before into the quarterfinals? That is very confident, and I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the choice of game, right? Because he knew he was up 2-1. He knew, okay, even if I lose this, there is a chance, there is another chance for me. So why not? I love this. I love this.
True. And yeah, also a great matchup against Persians, but just didn't work out in the end.
Yeah.
And you got to Farimba, which is exactly where you needed to get to, so you were in it with a chance, 100%. Yeah.
Also, Back in Black, we need to talk about your fish boom. I don't know if you're still in the game, but this fish boom.
I'm not in the
pretty
game. Tell me what do you see?
It's it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is like 8 fishing traps or 9, but they're not close to the dock. They're spread around. Like they're not far away either, but we need to talk about this.
Yeah. Do you think I had time to
He's
put
like,
them
do you think I had
time? uh, yeah.
One does
No,
not simply fish boom.
I'm with you there. As soon as you get into that late game and you're like economy dad, just scatter them around like houses and farms. It doesn't really matter. The biggest advantage for me is that patch where they made the auto placement for farms. You know, like
Yeah.
I was terrible at placing farms in those high pressure moments. I'd look like complete. Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, it's so useful, right? Because all you need to do is just shift click and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's definitely a good addition, I agree.
Are we in Zong, the final match, the decider?
Yes, I am ready to go when you are.
Ready. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
So this is officially the first time I ever see this map being played. Never played it, never watched it. This is a discovery experience for me.
It's an interesting one as we've got Malay for Back in Black, which is great for that fast uptime, and Khmer, who I've seen being played on this map a little bit, for Kerfoogle. So the main thing you need to know about the map, and you might be aware even though you haven't seen it played, is that you've got these shrines in the back, and they can produce. It's not a monk; it's called a priest or something in feudal age, and they're able to pick up relics. So obviously surrounded by trees, so you want to get your first wood camp on these trees, and you want to focus which trees you're cutting so that you can get to the shrine, produce the priest, and get them out here in feudal age, get the relics. You can't put them in a monastery, of course, in feudal age because you don't have access to monasteries, and you can't put them in the shrines. So you have to put them in your base, drop them, and then wait until castle and put them in the monastery. So it's a lot of attention to detail type stuff. In feudal, of course, you can also do the scout and spearman kind of battle in the middle as well. So it's an interesting map for sure.
So what I'm hearing is that this map is kind of tailored for a scout rush.
Yep.
And so far it looks like both our players absolutely love a scout rush. So
yep.
We're gonna have a great game 5 on our hands. I love this.
Yep. And so you can. So what I've seen a lot as well is that the priest comes in handy quite well in Scout Wars because if it's one scout on one and you've got a priest there in a scout war, which you wouldn't necessarily see in any other kind of map because you can't get monks in feudal. The healing for the scouts during the battles sometimes can be the difference between a battle won and a battle lost. I've seen that a couple of times and I'm quite surprised by it.
So the priest is only capable of carrying relics and healing. It doesn't convert, right?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yeah, I'm about 80% sure it cannot convert.
Right.
Yeah, no, it can't convert. I don't think it can convert. But the healing can be clutch.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, I'm probably going to look like a complete fool and it's going to convert something. But as far as I can remember, it can't convert.
Yeah, Back in Black is saying that it converts, but they have lower range than regular monks.
That's it. That's why I haven't seen it. Yeah, so, and of course, they're vulnerable to scouts as well, so don't want to get close to scouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, Khmer, I've seen Khmer, like I said, I've seen Khmer played on this map, and if you can get to Ballista Elephant, it's amazing, but getting there and getting the numbers is tough. Whereas Malay, I feel if you get the quick up times, you can play the aggression into the middle of the map and maybe box the Khmer in and prevent them from ever getting to that final um, unit composition. I think that's how it kind of plays out.
So we see that Kerfoogle is almost through the tree line. It's 100 wood to go on the last tree.
Yep.
And that he's already got a monk, and that monk is almost free. I love that the texture pack for the monk is exactly the one from the priest in AoE 1. Brings back a lot of memories.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. And the healing sound and animation are exactly the same.
Gotcha. This is a super interesting map, and I haven't seen yet, but there's is it the Wandering Warriors Cup or something that Mem does? There's going to be a bunch of new maps in that competition, and I just love new maps, and I love to see what people can kind of come up with, and this is a great invention. Whoever came up with this, really inventive and different map. You never think somebody can create a new map, but then something new comes out. Oh, that's great! That's fantastic.
Yeah. Every single tournament, right? We're like, oh, same old maps, and then someone comes along and they're like, wait a minute. I love what Mem's doing, because even in Warlords that's coming up now in May, even there's a category for a custom map, I think.
Right.
So a community map.
It just makes it fun because,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Arabia in tournaments for a while, maybe because I have just missed the tournament. But I think there's a tournament that's specifically devoted to Arabia. But everybody's seen Arabia a million times, right? Like, we don't need to see it again necessarily.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, Arabia has, like any other map, right? Or every map has, let's say, a top tier of civs that should be played on it because of civ advantages and disadvantages. So take the map out of the equation, bring in a new map. You already kind of force players to think about different civilizations that they can go through, and all of a sudden the top tier list of civs changes. So you get to see new civs, you get to see them used in different ways. I remember the first time I watched there is this map. I always forget the name. I don't know if it's Socotra. I don't think it's Socotra. There's this map where players start. They have basically there's like this river connecting the two town centers, and everything else is walled. But you have access, and there's like this fish in the middle, that's like 10,000 foot or something.
Right.
But what's interesting there is that first time I've ever seen this map. So the map is sudden death. If you lose your town center, you're dead.
Oh, wow.
You can't build a new town center. That's the way the map works. That's hard-coded. So the first time I see this map was a transport ship petard push that blew up a town center. And I was like, God. I love this. Give me more of this.
Do you know what? We don't see any civs have a petard bonus. That would be great on.
I mean, there are flaming camels.
Yeah, that's true.
Which are quite great. I feel like I want to see more of them every time there's I think they're Tatars, right?
Yes, yeah. They're kind of a meme unit, though. You don't see them actually.
They are. They are. I think the only time I've seen them work out is like in Rage Force games or stuff.
Yeah.
In community games, they're not really used in ranked tournaments.
I do want to point out that we're seeing Market Blacksmith for Back in Black. That's very unusual. Fast castle, of course, but that would indicate a fast castle. But this has left the middle completely free for Kerfoogle, and he's going to have 4 relics in his base from the get-go. And he's probably going to get that.
There was also a scout fight just now, the one that Back in Black is mentioning in the chat, where it was scout v scout, relatively equal, and then a monk just comes along and starts healing.
Yes.
if that monk wouldn't have come along, Back in Black would have won the fight.
Yeah.
But now there is an almost full HP scout for Kerfoogle running the map and nothing for Back in Black, so that's exactly what you were hinting at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen it 3 times now. That's been the difference. And 5 relics. That's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, especially for Khmer, right, where ballista elephants
Mm.
consume so much gold.
And we should see a monastery come up here to house those as soon as he has enough wood. And we're going to see the gold absolutely fly. But yeah, we'll see what Malay can do. You know, again, I think the pressure's on now to do something aggressive, knowing that you don't have the relics. You don't want that relic gold to just keep ticking up, ticking up, ticking up.
Yeah. Yeah, but then again, this is an arena type map. What can you do about the walls? I mean, you can castle drop them, but there's almost enough stone. But I wonder if this is not gonna be a safe castle, right? Because Back in Black has the stone,
Mm.
but Kerfoogle has the rest of the map.
Yeah.
So I see villagers dropping it off. So there's gonna be a castle happening. Okay, so it's in his own base. So it's a safe castle.
Safe castle. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear that a lot from Back in Black, right?
No, no, I don't. But yeah, and actually, Kerfoogle maybe suspecting a potential aggressive castle. It's got a scout patrolling that front gate, but yeah, Back in Black is going to go for defensive castle, and I'm just trying to wrap my brain on what he can do, what the strategy is forward from here. I'm just having trouble figuring that out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I see Kerfoogle heavy on stone as well, so there may be an angle for ballista elephants, but also there is a siege workshop that has a mangonel house. So I'm also wondering what Kerfoogle is expecting at this point.
Yeah.
Because we also see Back in Black's POV and we don't really see anything happening. We see a siege workshop here as well. It might be Scorps, but then again, Scorps against what?
Mm-hmm.
This is an unnaturally quiet game for these two players.
It is. And I think Kerfoogle is even a little bit paranoid, I think, because he's putting up this like internal wall, expecting the aggression play to happen, and we haven't seen it yet.
It looks like both guys actually know exactly or knew what was gonna go down, because Back in Black is in chat saying Kerfoogle saw his game against Arnulf, and Kerfoogle's just laughing along. So that's
Right.
probably Back in Black knows what he wants to do, and Kerfoogle also know what Back in Black wants to do at this point.
Yep, we're seeing the Rams. Okay, we're
Yep.
seeing the Rams. Makes 100% sense now.
So is this gonna be a Ram Karambit push with Ram's garrison full of Karambits?
Well, he did it with Rams and Showtail Warriors the last time. So
Right.
the Karambits, yes, they're similar in a lot of ways to Showtail Warriors, but they don't have the take down the buildings type quality.
Yeah.
So it's not as effective, I would say. And Arnulf didn't have a castle in that game either. So having the defensive
Well,
castle.
that's probably why Kerfoogle built the castle, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
So there's still some gold out on the map. Both players still have gold in the back of their bases. So this is really this is an upgrade of the safety that Arena provides, right? Because you have so much gold in the back. Usually in Arena you have a chance of having main gold in the back, but you also have a chance of not having it in the back. So
yeah, the gold in the back is there's so much of it, and you even have a little bit of emergency gold on the side, like 2-pile gold on the side there as well that you can quite easily wall in. And it's really only in the late game that I feel the gold is super necessary in the middle. But obviously more gold the better. But you got that to fall back on.
I love these little, while we're waiting for action to kick up in this game, I love these little decorations that devs put into this game. Like, if you look at on either side of the base, right, there's the gold pile and the stone pile, and right next to them there's this little, what looks like a dragon statue in the Chinese mythology. It's really like blurred out, but that's kind of how it looks like.
Oh, where is this?
So if you look at the gold on the right of a player's base,
Yeah.
about 5 or 6 tiles
Ah.
diagonally towards the base, there is this Chinese dragon statue.
Yeah.
I love these
Interesting.
little like gimmicks and details. This is another cool thing that I expect coming from the new patch, right? With the panda rock and
Yeah.
all the kind of different vegetation and stuff. I absolutely love it when devs put time into just doing, like you said, just doing cosmetics.
So I haven't looked too much into the panda rock, but I have seen it. Does the panda move on the rock?
Yeah, there is all the pandas on it move, and it's
Oh.
like a cyclic animation. So there is this one panda that just goes around the back, comes on the right side, and then like falls in between a couple of rocks, jumps up on another, and then goes back around the side again.
That is incredible. That is so
Yeah,
good.
it's amazing. They're not interactive per se
Yeah.
with the pandas, but it's just so nice to have new things in a 30-year-old game, right?
Yeah.
Well, 25.
I reckon that whoever develops this game, I forget the name, but they just know the player. Do you know what I mean? Like they know that the people that
Yeah.
play Age of Empires have been loyal to the game for so long, and they've got the nostalgia factor. That
Yeah.
trust for that player and buying into the long term, long term prospect of the player is what it's all about. So they've nailed that strategy perfect. But we're seeing now the Ram push come forward with a potential castle on that front gate. And let's see if Kerfoogle can handle this, because when this happened to Arnold, he had 0 units. We're seeing 5 mangonels in here? Yes, 5 mangonels in
Yeah,
the siege workshop.
five. Yeah, one in the making and 10 battle elephants waiting around the corner.
Oh yeah,
I feel like Kerfoogle is prepared for this. He's like, I know what you're trying to do here, buddy.
And these karambits might be giving the show away a little bit as well. Let's see the
I love how instant garrison when he saw the monks, but then there's look at the mangonels. Those rams are gone.
Those rams are gone instantly.
And this is the moment Back in Black was like, well, damn.
And these mangonels can.
This castle is not long for the world either.
No. Can he take out the castle?
I wonder how the. Yeah, the castle is definitely going down. I wonder how the karambits fare against the battle elephants. I think the karambits should all go down.
Yeah, they should melt. And some of those villages are dead now. Both of them are dead. Oh no, that castle's. That's a doubt castle.
We have a doubt castle on our hands.
It's gone. Ouch.
The problem I see here now is, as Back in Black, what do you revert to? Like, if Kerfoogle decides to take this army to your base, what do you do?
Oh, he's building 3 barracks?
Okay, so taking into pikemen probably,
Yeah.
which is good because he already has the blacksmith upgrades right from the Karambit.
Yeah.
And Back in Black's in the chat saying that he forgot the Khmer has elephants.
And they should be able to shred through these walls pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is fun. This is great because we've seen it absolutely overwhelm an opponent and work to perfection, and then fall completely flat on its face in another game. So
Yeah,
the variation for this strategy, pretty high.
yeah. There's also the fact that this is a decider game, right? Like,
Yes.
how much more hype could it be? So we see pikemen being produced. They do fairly well against battle elephants. Not that great, but fairly well. I mean, they're probably... I'm not sure if they or camels are the better counter, but in any case, battle elephants are pretty strong by default. But then you have 5 mangonels behind you, or 6. So those pikemen are gonna disappear. Oh, but the flank with karambits, that was a good mango shot.
That was a very good mango shot. They're still in here though. There's still a couple left, and they're going to potentially take up those mangonels.
Yeah,
But
slowly but surely.
it's not going to be enough to stop this castle being put up. And then I think it's a question of getting to Imperial.
Yeah. who traps down the castle first. Then again, I feel like battle elephants have a pretty good chance against the castle that doesn't have murder holes.
True. And he's just going to run in with
even
these.
if
He's just going to
yeah,
run in
exactly.
with these
Even
as
if
well.
you just avoid the castle, going to the wood line, going to the gold line at the back.
And
This would be this is an interesting strat, right? Because you go battle elephants, which are traditionally susceptible to monks, but Back in Black hasn't built a single monk this game.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like he can't do any wrong really because he's just sitting there and taking pikemen out one by one as they come out. It's not terrible either because you don't want a massive pikeman to face either, but I do feel the better play would be to get round and get that goal at the back.
Yep. Yeah, just maybe Kerfoogle at this point expects that the wall is kind of, well, no, because he saw the holes, so I was gonna say maybe he expects the wall to be full, but he already saw the hole, so he knows that he could probably go through. But maybe he's also considering there's monks in the back, right, that he doesn't know about, so maybe he's playing it a little safe.
True. Which, you know, that's a good, in a final game, final pressure game, you might decide just to go safe and feel like you got the advantage anyway, so why risk it?
Yep. Yeah, of course.
And do we, well, we don't actually see Imperial, we see just more investment in elephants, actually, for Kerfoogle. So he's not going to rush for that.
Yeah, I think the ballista elephant switch is good because ballista elephants are traditionally good against pikemen in numbers, right?
And actually he's got mangonels inside the walls now as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's got ram versus ram with a villager repairing one of the rams. And it is the difference between that ram surviving and now it's on that castle. So no need for trips. That ram is going to go down from Karambit, so.
Yeah, but at this point, again, how much do we really care about the castle, right?
Yeah,
we
true.
have a lot of rams in the siege workshop behind, but we have a lot of battle elephants that can take out those rams like nothing. So, and we see the pikemen now going down to ballista elephants.
Yep. And we don't see any sidewards expansion. So these villagers are trapped on this wood line. There's no alternative economy. It's all here inside these walls. So the further he goes in, the less he's more in trouble. And GG. So Kerfoogle. Kerfoogle 3-2. That was a close one.
So this was a very intense set. This was the winner's bracket, right? Which means the winner goes into the winner bracket semifinals, and there is a loser's bracket that Back in Black's gonna play into, right?
That I don't know. I don't know how the loser's bracket works, but if that is the case, then Back in Black will fight on, I guess. But not for the top, for the second half of the bracket.
Yeah, so Back in Black's in chat saying that he cannot play, he wanted a double elimination. But maybe it's not part of the tournament yet. I actually don't have enough information on that. But that's something to write down and find out.
Yep, for sure. I don't believe there is double elimination. No, I know that there's no double elimination, but I wonder if they will introduce that in the future because that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Having a second chance at the trophy is nice.
Yeah. But yeah, just want to give credit where credit is due. Kerfoogle 3-2 did his homework. So first of all, did his homework with the priest, got the priest out quicker, and then knew that on a closed map, Back in Black loves the ram play, and just saw it coming from a mile away and was prepared. So well played with the preparation and the execution, and good luck for you going on.
And also worth noting, I feel like this set was really close. Both players did a really good job. There were a lot of adaptations, a lot of responses, and good responses too. We've seen some quick walls, some quick houses. This set had it all. I mean, we've even seen bombard cannon galleons, right? I mean, the only thing missing is some Korean turtle ships, but what can you do?
Yep.
So GG's to both players. Congratulations. Good luck to Kerfoogle in the future. And to Back in Black, well, good luck next time.
Yep. Also want to shout out as we'll probably wrap up now as well, but just shout out to you for co-casting. And you know what? I would have, if you never told me, I wouldn't have guessed that that was your first stream because it was to perfection. I very much enjoyed that. It was a pleasure casting with you.
I appreciate it. I have a little like notepad open on my other screen here with things that I want to do better. So I really appreciate that. I love co-casting with you. Thanks for having me along. And let's do that again in the future at some point.
I reckon. I think that sounds like a great idea. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but until then, I think I will start signing off now, and I'll catch you next time.
Yep, catch you next time. Thanks a lot everyone for viewing along. Thanks a lot for everyone in the chat and see you soon.
Catch up.